Happy Souls, welcome back to my channel. This is Charlotte with Happy Twins 1111. Welcome if you're new here. I'm delighted to read for you today. I'm so excited for this reading. I haven't done this one for ages. Well, actually, I've not done many for ages, as you know. But now that I'm back, I was particularly excited to do this one because we all get signs. You know, nothing is by accident or chance. The world is a co-creation of our own thoughts and belief systems. And so it speaks to us in signs we'll recognize and that align with our thoughts and desires, which is why when you ask the universe for a sign, you will generally see it everywhere. So whether or not one of these cards is your sign is irrelevant. You're going to ask for a sign in the reading anyway. But today, the reason for this reading is to help you get the signs and the guidance you need to help you move forward. Signs point us in the right direction. They show us where we need to go. And maybe you're stuck. Maybe you've got a really tough decision to make. Maybe you're in a really rough situation that you don't know how to move out of. Whatever that confusion is, we are going to get the directions to help move you along the right path, the path of your highest good and highest potential. All you need to do is choose a pile. There's 4 to pick from. Pile number 1, you've got the Eagle and the Lepidolite. And for this pile, we're using this beautiful deck. This is the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot, one of my favourites. Pile number 2, we've got the Tiger and the Snowflake Obsidian. And for this pile, we've got the Lux Ex Umbra Tarot, also very beautiful. Pile number 3, you've got the Wolf and the Moonstone. And for this pile, we're using this deck. I am so sorry that I don't know what it's called. And I apologise to the creator of this deck, but they sent me this deck in a little black bag. It was an independently created one, and I can't remember the name of it. But it's really beautiful. So that's number 3. Pile number 4 is the Bear and the Shimmer Obsidian. And for this one, we're using the Luminous Spirit Tarot. I love the iridescent backs. This is also one of my favorites, especially because it sparkles. So remember, there's no right or wrong way to choose a pile. Just see which one you're drawn to the most. Pause the video if you need to. The timestamps are down below. That will help take you straight to your pile, and I will see you there. Hello, pile 1. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Eagle, the Lepidolite, the Intuitive Night Tarot. Is it the Intuitive Night? I beg your pardon, the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. This is a gorgeous deck, and today we are asking for the sign you need the most. What is the sign that you've been looking for to help you move in the direction that's meant for you? You know, at so many times in our lives, we come to crossroads where, you know, we're not happy where we are, or we just sense that we need to shift. Maybe you're stuck in a really uncomfortable situation. Whatever it is, signs are meant to point us in the right direction. So we're going to get all of the guidance, all of the wisdom to help put you back on track and moving along the path that is meant for you the most. Now, whilst I'm shuffling, I'd like you to ask for a sign. You can just, first of all, set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. Just take a deep breath and let Spirit know what it is that you want to know. You know, what signs are you looking for? And signs can be anything at all. It could be an animal, an object, a series of numbers or words or names or places. Just trust whatever pops into your head first, something from nature. And when the sign pops up in your reading, just be sure to pay special attention to the messages that show up alongside it. Now, I do always shuffle these off screen, but I like to do it on screen so you can see me do it again. And I riffle shuffle these, which ensures an even distribution of upright and reverse cards. I do read with reversals, but please be reassured that they are not a bad thing. It just means that an energy is blocked, or, you know, something that you need to bring into balance is still distorted. Now, make a note of which pile you've chosen today in the comments, because you're only watching a portion or fraction of this video today. YouTube will recommend it to you again, usually in perfect divine timing. If you've made a note of the pile you've watched, then that will help you not choose it again, I guess, to choose a different one next time. And thank you in advance for those very, very generous souls that take the time to watch the commercials and adverts. It really is such a perfect energy exchange. I appreciate it so much, and it's what helps my channel grow. as well as subscribing and liking and writing comments. If this video is generating revenue for YouTube, they're more likely to recommend it to other viewers. And that really helps me. It helps my channel grow. And it's a small price to pay for the free wisdom that I deliver on YouTube for you. So thank you so much. Appreciate it loads. Right, let's do this part one. Now, first I want to understand, what is the actual situation that you're stuck in or querying about? We're going to get some guidance cards. This will help you understand straight off the bat if you've picked the right pile as well. Let's start. First card out is Strength. We've got the Nine of Swords, the Seven of Pentacles, Five of Wands in reverse, the Universe in reverse. This is the World, number 21. Okay, let's clarify these. Justice clarifying Strength. The Nine of Swords is being clarified by the Seven of Cups. Seven of Pentacles is clarified by the Nymph of Swords. I believe that's the page. Five of Wands in reverse is clarified by the Four of Swords in reverse. And the World in reverse is clarified by the Five of Cups in reverse. So we've got two fives. Okay, let's get some oracle cards as well. I'm going to start with this one. This is the Animal Spirit deck. Octopus and Rabbit. And from this deck, this is The Universe Has Your Back. Oh. The more energy and intention I bring to my faith, the more fearless and free I am. That's quite lovely. And finally, I have been dying to use this one. I found this in a random little bookshop. The Britney Spears Oracle. It's Britney, bitch. Okay, let's see what this one says. I know it's super girly. I'm sorry if you're a guy watching this or if you don't like pink, but you know, it's Britney. She's a legend. The Bubblegum Brit. And the Snake Charmer. Okay. So let's begin. Pile one. I want to start by saying I think the thing you need to hear the most today is it is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Everything will be okay. I know you really struggle to trust in that. And you are definitely in a situation in your life right now that you really don't want to be in, that is testing your patience to the nth degree. And this one here is a number 42. Garuda Supana, and eagle is all about higher perspective. It's about getting above, you know, that microcosm that we see when we're in the situation and allowing yourself to see it from a broader perspective. It's connected to higher wisdom, spiritual wisdom, messengers from spirit. And so the first thing I'm hearing is that one, you are way wiser than you give yourself credit for. And two, spirit is really trying to communicate with you, but you're not listening. And so you may not watch tarot readings very often. You've been drawn to this reading today for a reason. Strength and Justice shows me that you're working through some very, very challenging karmic cycles. And you have to be strong for this, but you don't feel strong. You are feeling completely miserable. You're feeling heartbroken, betrayed, lonely. There are so many painful energies here. And it feels so desperately unfair. You know, karma is always painful because it requires us to suffer in ways which perhaps we've made others suffer, or just in ways that are going to teach us. And it feels to me like you were raised by angry adults. And so you have been programmed to feel like you're wrong, to feel like you're not enough, to feel like You can't admit your mistakes because previously during your childhood, admitting mistakes would have created a lot of trouble for you, a lot of anger, a lot of fury. And so this has made you both resilient and defensive and thick-skinned, but it's also hardened you in the most unexpected ways. And it's also inhibited you from seeing your true self. When we are hardwired to be defensive, we're not often able to listen to the lessons that we need. We don't take advice easily. We get very upset when someone tries to criticize us, even if it's constructive, because we just feel so wounded. We're so tired of constantly being told we are wrong. And so it develops this tough exterior that kind of repels anything which may be a threat to your sense of self or well-being. But I'm hearing that's probably the only toughened part of you. In reality, you are such a softie. And you are so easily wounded and so fragile, and you're often kind of really anxious and on guard, looking for people's reactions, you know, so that you can predict what's going to happen next. And this makes you sometimes withdrawn and insular or sullen. People have probably told you you've got resting bitch face. I have that too, by the way. You know, because, and it's not that you're miserable or moody. It's that you're focused and concentrated on what's happening around you. You're so hypersensitive to people's shift in moods because you've always had to be in order to protect yourself. Now, people don't treat you the way they feel about you. This is the first thing you have to remember. People do not treat you the way they feel about you. They treat you the way they feel about themselves. So your parents' anger, you know, they were hurting you unintentionally. That they were so full of self-loathing, they were so uncomfortable in their own experience that they projected it at you. But actually it had nothing to do with you, and you need to stop blaming yourself. You know, and I know this will be hard to hear, but I really do think that they were supposed to hurt you. And I know that sounds counterintuitive or really harsh, but you were supposed to suffer in that experience, not because you deserved it, but because you really needed it. You needed it to happen so that you could evolve out of the trauma that you're bringing in from your past. You're bringing this in from some ancestral cycle that you're ready to close out. And, you know, in truth, when we're bringing that energy in, it's the only way it can be healed, finally, because you have to feel it again. If you hadn't felt it again, you couldn't be reminded of what it is that you're trying to liberate yourself from, and what cycle it is that you're trying to disrupt and close out. And so you had to have this experience. You signed up for this because you're strong, because you're resilient, and you knew it was going to be hard, but you also had faith that you could get through this. Now, whilst you're bringing forward the pain of your ancestors, you're being reminded that you can also bring in their wisdom. That's what the spiritual path is. Yes, we bring all the ick with us, but we bring all the good stuff as well. And you are so ready for this. But with the octopus here, I'm hearing that you cling to the old material world paradigm. And this keeps you stuck in so much pain. And, you know, I really think that for you, with the 9 of Swords and the 7 of Cups here, your escapism is in your daydreams. It's in imagining a beautiful way of life. I bet you're a huge fan of Pinterest, where you have boards about your perfect house and the perfect ways in which you're going to live. And you visualize and idealize all of these wonderful, dreamy, romantic partners that are going to save you from your plight and make everything okay again even. But beneath all of that, the 9 of Swords is about self-pain, self-loathing. It's about insomnia, it's about anxiety, it's about being fearful. And the only reason why you're not making progress and recovering from this pain is because every day you keep giving energy to what you don't want. And you know how to give energy to what you do want, but because you're doing it as a form of escapism whilst carrying the weight of this dominant load of pain, it's not manifesting for you. You know, you're great at visualizing, but the dream is that 7 of Cups, imagining all of those possibilities. But the 9 of Swords is what keeps you stuck. That's the mind. Now, your thoughts control your reality. And every cell in your body is listening to your thoughts, every single one. So, you know, whilst you're dreaming about this alternative way of living, I wish it was like that, oh, I wish it was like this, you know, you're also sitting in the energy of victimhood, self-pity, woe, that it isn't like that and it's some other way. It's this painful, anger-filled, sad, lonely way. And so all of that visualization and energy that you are putting into dreaming that new future into being is getting lost in the mix of your thoughts. And so, you know, you need to realize that you are expressing yourself as the program that was created for you. You know, imagine that your brain is AI, artificial intelligence. It's just a learning machine. And the learning machine only knows what it has been programmed with. And yours was programmed with dysfunction. Let's call it a virus since we're on the tech route. It was programmed with dysfunction by that family unit. But you are not the machine. You are the consciousness that is aware of the machine. You're the operator of the machine. And you have to learn to choose new thoughts. That's the road you've got to head down. And I'm going to encourage you to leave no stone unturned in your research in terms of how to teach yourself and train your mind to choose new thoughts. The Seven of Pentacles shows us the work you have to do. But this one really promises abundance. 7 is a divine number. Now, often we see this card illustrated as someone digging into hard ground and really struggling with that. But here you can see this abundant garden already in bloom. And I really feel for you that whilst you're going to need to be patient, it's not going to be hugely patient. We're not talking months or years here. I honestly think that when you turn your attention and discipline in that attention to managing your thoughts and choosing only thoughts that align with what it is you want rather than reinforcing more of what you don't, this is when you're going to see changes. We've got this Page of Swords here, and unfortunately one of your programs which was inherited from your parents was the anger, the sharp tongue. And so I'm really drawn to how, oh, I've got to cover up the boobies, I'll get reported. On the one hand, she's got this ball of light, and in the other hand, she's got the sword of truth. I'm going to turn that over because someone did report me last time, boo them, and they limited my video. So the Page of Swords is about using your words without balance, without control, without intellectual awareness of their impact. This is the work that you have to do. As I said, your cells, every cell in your body is listening to every word you say to yourself. Every thought you think is being registered in your cells. It's creating your vibrational frequency, and that vibrational frequency is what is creating tomorrow. So the immediate action that is required of you isn't to go and do blah, 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 or to dump whoever, or to not speak to so-and-so person. Your immediate required action is to study and be disciplined in your study and application of what you learn about managing your thoughts, training your mind. This is what has to happen for you. This is about recognizing that when we just accept what is and look forward to what's next, trusting that it's going to be exactly what we need, and we just aspire to be, you know, someone who just wakes up and enjoys every day. That's when we are truly embodying the present. When you are living in the past, which means you're waking up and you're thinking how shit your life is and how you got here and whose fault it is and whose fault it is that you're still stuck and all the terrible things that happen to you, you're being stuck in the past. You're being controlled by your past because you're the one that's not letting it go. As I said, octopus clinging on to what no longer serves you. And there's also this vulnerability with you, this fear of getting it wrong. Because you're so afraid of being wrong, it makes you procrastinate more. You ruminate over and over. Should I do this? What is the right answer? You've learned that you cannot trust yourself because you were told you were always wrong. Part one, you were never wrong. There is no wrong. There's only lessons. And I would argue it's right to be wrong and wrong to be right. When we think we're right, we create a limitation. Well, I'm right, so that's it. When you're wrong, it opens up infinite potential. So you've got to remember as well, there is nothing wrong with being wrong. You're right to be wrong. And you weren't really wrong anyway. You were just being subjected to someone else's rage. So you've got to start giving yourself permission to not always be right, to recognize that's a natural cycle and it's not something you have to fear. The more energy and intention I bring to my faith, the more fearless and free I am. And there's a beautiful quote. I'm trying to think what it is. Yeah. Faith and fear both ask you to believe in something that you can't see, but you get to choose. So don't choose fear. Don't worry about getting it wrong. Don't worry about if it's the right decision or not. Just allow yourself to do something. You know, this inertia that's created from this fear of being wrong, this fear of being criticized, this fear of being perceived as a loser or of someone who's, oh God, look at you, you've made mistakes again. You know, you need to let that go and just move forward anyway. When we've got the Five of Wands in reverse, this also shows us that you feel like you cannot compete. And it seems, I don't know, it feels like you seem to think that everyone else is having some extraordinary life and you're just in the dust like a loser. But that's not true. You know, all of us live in the mundane, on the daily. You know, we live in houses, we sleep in beds, we brush our teeth, you know, we get up, we eat breakfast, we experience the simplicity of these actions. And the trick is to find peace in that and to recognize that the life you're living is enough. It's unique to you. It doesn't have to be something sensational. This comparison energy of constantly looking at what everyone else is doing, looking at what society expects from you, comparing yourself to friends or peers or family. And actually, I think maybe your family do a lot of that for you. You know, if you're constantly hearing, well, you know, your cousin Bob did this and you know, your sister so-and-so did that. If you're constantly feeling like you're having your nose rubbed in it, then you need to learn to, you know, choose healthier relationships. You don't have to be around those people. And when you're going to be, you have to develop an immunity to the harshness of their words. Your competition isn't any other person. It's your ego. You know, it's your bad habits, your self-neglect, your self-abuse. No one can take what is meant for you. Only you have that power. But the Four of Swords in reverse also shows us a begrudging resistance. Now, Four of Swords is healing. It's the stage that we arrive at after pain. So whatever that pain was and whatever the cause of it was, you have sat in it for a very long time. And as I said, you were supposed to be hurt this way. You were meant to be hurt this way. Being hurt is what's going to allow you to be transformed and liberated from old ancestral cycles that are going to empower you to elevate your entire soul group as well as yourself into a higher state of evolution. But you have to heal from this. You cannot avoid it. I think that sometimes you just wish it would go away, or that you're waiting for some kind of magical occurrence where you wake up one morning and everything feels okay again. Perhaps you're waiting for a knight in shining armor or for a lovely maternal person to come and rescue you. I'm sorry, Pile 1. That's not going to happen. This is your work. Look how independent all these energies are. You don't see any couples here. This role, this work is on you, and this is how you chose to do it. And all you need to do is unblock this idea that 1, you can't, that 2, other people are responsible, and 3, that it probably won't work anyway. You are such a pessimist sometimes, and it really doesn't serve you, you know, to sit in that pessimism. It doesn't serve you to be that pessimistic. You know, healing yourself is about loving yourself. And when you are loving yourself, it will feel so easy to leave behind what isn't healthy, whether that's people, whether it's jobs, whether it's homes or something else, it doesn't matter. Your judgmental mind calls it a betrayal. You've got all kinds of excuses. Oh, well, I can't do that. I can't not see that person, or I can't leave here and I can't go there because of so-and-so, because of so-and-so. You get ever more creative about concocting excuses for why you can't take the steps you need to heal, to move away, to remove yourself and leave behind from the things that do not serve you. You know, and they are just excuses. Like I say, your judgmental mind calls it a betrayal, but you're not seeing that staying in these unhealthy places or relationships is an act of self-betrayal. And selflessness and being a martyr doesn't a hero make. I know that's not what we taught. Oh, look at them, you know, they do everything for everyone. Usually that person is the loneliest person on the planet. And they sacrifice themselves for what? You know, does anyone really appreciate it? It doesn't help you grow in life. It doesn't help you evolve. It just makes you look nice. And you know what? Being nice is overrated. You can be a really good person without being so nice that you sacrifice your own life, your own needs for somebody else. You don't need to do that. And somehow you found value in this. Well, at least I'm doing that for so-and-so. At least I'm, you know, not betraying that person. At least I'm loyal to this situation. You know, that's a really false and distorted narrative, a very limiting belief that you're justifying being where you are, not releasing yourself from all the dysfunction and pain in the name of other people's comfort. Meanwhile, you blame them. You blame these situations for your discomfort. Well, if so-and-so hadn't done X, Y, Z, I wouldn't feel like this. Well, if that situation hadn't gone wrong because of blah, 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 I wouldn't feel this way. It allows you to relieve yourself of all responsibility. You know, I'm like this and it's somebody else's fault, some other situation's fault. But that's not how this works, Pile 1. And believe me when I tell you, you have the strength to move yourself out of this energy. But you're the only thing that's in your way of doing that. Let me be clear with you. The only time you were really a true victim was in childhood, because in childhood you don't get a choice. You have no power to leave. You have no power to set boundaries. You have no power to choose or make decisions for yourself. But as an adult, you do have choices. You have free will. At any moment you can say, well, as hard as it is, I have to walk away from this person, this situation, this job, whatever it is. As an adult, you have that power. You may not feel comfortable exerting it, and you may have all kinds of reasons as to why. And maybe in part they are valid, but it doesn't detract from the very fact that you can transform your life if you choose to. And you have to start choosing healing first, and whatever is necessary for your healing. The bubblegum brick. Honestly, I'm going to be real with you. I don't know how to interpret this card. Green is about the heart chakra. This is a waitress, so it's about serving others. Perhaps it relates to you being British as well. Also, this is completely random, but it's popped into my head, so I'm going to share it. I have a lamp on my bedside table that is the head of Michelangelo's David sculpture, and he has bubblegum like that. Maybe your sign was Michelangelo or David, I don't know, but I felt the need to share that. But serving others in a capacity at least that you're paid for, or only serving others when it feels good for you. This has to be about healing and nourishing your heart first. You cannot continue to sacrifice yourself for others. You know, trauma has caused you to think as well that someone else's lack of effort is an opportunity for you to try harder. You know, someone else not loving you in the way you need to be loved must be your fault. You're the one that's wrong. It's that same narrative. And, you know, you really need to change that narrative. You really need to remind yourself that someone else's lack of effort is simply a demonstration of a lack of interest, of their lack of reciprocity, of their lack of care. You know, 5's always about transformation and moving out of a situation. And so it definitely feels to me that you are stuck in some kind of relationship that really, really doesn't serve you, you know, and that is keeping you stuck in a variety of ways. And it feels to me like, you know, you're obsessed with trying to figure out why people hurt you, probably someone specific. Why has this person hurt me? How could they do that? Why has this happened? Let me be clear, it is not your responsibility to understand other people, not even close. And can you imagine being bitten by a dog, and instead of tending to your wound and healing yourself, you go running after the dog to find out why it bit you? It doesn't make sense, does it? It makes no sense. That's not what we're meant to do. You've invested so much time in the whys of other people's treatment and behavior of you that you are not recognizing that you need to ascend, you need to evolve, you need to grow, and you need to move forward for you. And you only need to understand you. This cycle will only close when you allow it to, and you are right on the cusp of that happening. The universe or the world is about completion, but this is clarified by the Five of Cups, which is that unresolved grief. I remember fives are about change, transformation, flipping over to the other side, and then you've got this energy here of the world trying to come full cycle so that you can start moving forward and growing through the discomfort and the pain that you are experiencing. As I said, when the Five of Cups is in reverse, this is unresolved grief, but it's unresolved because you're wallowing in it. I know no one else will tell you this, but I'm going to tell you because it's what you need to hear. It's what's going to get you on the right path. Your grief is on you. Your pain is on you. You being stuck is on you. It doesn't make you a bad person. You're not a loser. Don't start beating yourself up. If those thoughts are in your mind, they're your thoughts. They're not my words. You're not a bad person. You are magic. You're magical. You're so magical. But you've got to start applying that magic. You can't just keep thinking about it. You need to start moving yourself out of this trauma. And as difficult as that is, it has to be done. You know, our nervous system, when we're depressed or when we're in a state of fear or whatever it is, our nervous system will always choose a familiar hell over an unknown future or change. And so knowing that, it's up to you to reset the nervous system. And that means you have to bring yourself to the point where you're going to boldly and with strength march through towards the unknown. You know, your next step is to do anything that's different from what you're doing now. If you've got a job and you can find another one, do it. If you're living with someone and it's not making you happy, find somewhere else. If you're in relationships that hurt you and harm you, move away from them. And start with other changes. If you start your day by skipping breakfast, eat breakfast instead. Do a workout in the morning. You know, do 10 squats every time you stop for a break instead of, you know, wallowing or ruminating. You have to start changing things up, and even small, minimal changes will start to create a new energy for the nervous system, a new experience which will start to push you out of that comfort zone. Now, the bigger things, leaving jobs, moving house, leaving friends, family, relationships, whatever, they might take a bit longer. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do them. And if it seems impossible right now, then you need to commit to doing them anyway. Just say, okay, well, I don't know how to do this yet, but I'm definitely going to do it. So every day I'm going to commit at least 5 minutes to thinking about my options, exploring the options, thinking about the possibilities. Energy goes where intention flows. You are a creator. As I said, every cell in your body is listening to your thoughts, and those thoughts create your vibration, and that vibration creates your tomorrow. So when you're sat there going, right, okay, I'm going to move out and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and you're not allowing all the woe to interfere. And you may find initially that because of that lack of mind training, you do get those intrusive thoughts, but it's impossible, but it's too scary, but so-and-so is going to be hurt. Part of that mind training is learning to push those intrusive thoughts aside. For me, when I was learning this, it really helped me to write it down. And so writing down affirmations isn't just about, you know, manifesting well. It's because when we are writing and thinking about what we are writing, we're using our critical biofactor, the part of the brain that is doing something. And so it's not as easy for us to get intrusive thoughts. So when you write down, I'm going to move out. I don't know how to yet, but the answers are flowing to me. I'm going to get a job. I don't know what job I'm supposed to have, but the universe is guiding me towards it. And every day, in every way, the universe is sending me the signs. And every day, in every way, the universe is helping me move along my highest path. Spend some time on Pinterest. Pull out all the affirmations that resonate with you. Personalize them. And when I say personalize them, a really good way to start with that is to ask yourself, what do I not like about myself? Let's say you say, well, I don't like my body, or I don't like my attitude to XYZ, or I don't like how I feel about blah, blah, blah. Choose an affirmation that opposes it. So if your dislike was your body, you choose, I love and accept my body. You know, this is the reprogramming of the mind. This is you being the operator and disposing of all of those unhelpful programs that do not serve you, so that you can start moving into mindful living, healing, growth, and along to where you're meant to be. Your life is not over. You've got this idea that you've ruined your life, you've left it too long, you've wasted too much time. Pile one, you are young. You have years and years of living still to do. Remember what I said. Fear and faith both require us to believe in something we cannot see. You get to choose. Choose faith. Don't choose fear. Now, snake charmer, I really feel like you just attract narcissists. You attract toxic people, and that's because they sense your vulnerability. And I do think some of that toxicity perhaps has rubbed off on you at times. So you may have developed traits and behaviors that match theirs. That doesn't mean that's who you are. You won't be the only person. Lots of people that grow up in abusive or narcissistic environments learn those behaviors, and sometimes because they've seen it works, they will use them. But someone that is truly abusive or truly narcissistic has empathy. They have compassion, they have a heart. They know how to come back afterwards and say, my God, I was so sorry. You know, I didn't mean to do that, and I understand how much I've hurt you. You need to give yourself permission to be who you are and to forgive yourself and to accept that those traits can be changed. Your personality and character isn't fixed. It's constantly transient and in motion and growing, but you need to allow it to. Right, let's get some more guidance cards. We've got Nike, ambition. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to say, this is the Goddess Power deck. We've got Freya, radical acceptance. And we've got Ellen of the Ways and patterns. And from the Kuan Yin deck, that's this one. I'm going to get one of these and I'm going to read it straight from the book for you because it's Alana Fairchild and she is amazing. The Amaryllis Lute, number 34. Okay, we'll read that in a minute. Let's get some charms. So I'm going to give these a turn and then we're going to dig in and choose some. Oh, that one fell out, so we'll keep that one. I'm a little bit dramatic. Yes, you are, Par One. You're there. We all are sometimes. It's okay. Okay. All right, we've got quite a few here, but we're going to keep them. Okay. Ooh, mobble on the camera there. Save yourself. Fake news. I remember it all too well. I make money moves. Follow your dreams. And lost. Okay. Let's start with ambition. This is number 39. 3 is the number of creation. 9 is the number of self and the power of self. And Nike and ambition, this reminds me of Hermes as well with those wings. You know, you probably feel like you don't have any ambition. I think this is part of you being lost. And that is a little bit dramatic. You know, you're like, I don't have any dreams. I don't have any ambitions. I've kind of, you know, I've given up. I've accepted that I'm a loser, that I'm lost and that I can't, you know, have what I want. There's this feeling that maybe you've wrecked your life somehow. And that's just not true. You know, you need to go back to what you dreamed about and desired and was driven towards before you got into this rut. And start there. It doesn't matter if you think, well, maybe that's not right for me now. If you can't think of anything else, start with what you wanted to do when you were a kid, when you were young and innocent and life wasn't weighing you down so heavy. And ambitions don't have to be big. You know, normally when you say to someone, what's your ambition? They'll say something like, oh, my ambition is to be a super rock star, and my ambition is to change the world. You know, your ambition might just be to feel good and happy and to wake up every morning with a spring in your step. Your ambition might be to get fit or eat healthily. It doesn't have to be something big. The point here is to set yourself some goals. Give yourself something to dream about and to look forward to. I feel like for you, this whole focus that we were talking about with you, you know, dreaming about, a lot of it is aesthetic. Imagining what the clothes you would wear, how you'd look, where you'd live, and a lot of it is about fantasy relationships. But the thing is, in your mind, they are just fantasies, and they could never be what you think you would want a relationship to be like. And so we're seeing with this 9, this process of isolating self, of withdrawing, because that way you feel at least you won't be disappointed. But there is someone out there for everyone. And dreams do come true. You know, you need to give yourself permission to at least have goals, objectives, to paint the pictures in your mind of the kind of life you want to leave, and to start taking baby steps towards it. Freya and radical acceptance is also very significant. This is number 15, which in the tarot is the devil. It's about obsession. And I really think we've already touched upon this, because you get obsessed about what should have been, about what you should have done. You are so bogged down by your regrets and your resistance to what's happened to you and around you that you can't accept it. And in that resistance, that is what keeps you stuck. You know, energy is meant to flow. Resistance creates a thrust block, which stops it moving to where it's meant to go. Now, you can use resistance as a springboard, as a force which to, you know, use as that thrust block and spring off of, or you can use it as an excuse to be still and to do nothing. And so far, you're choosing the latter, and it isn't serving you. Only you, save yourself, is going to get you out of this. And you really need to start doing that. To say it's impossible, to say you can't do it, that's that drama coming in. You need to be really mindful of those thoughts. You need to remind yourself that this is fake news. This is bullshit. I'm not going to talk to myself like this anymore. You know, I'm going to allow myself to grow through this. Ellen of the Ways is asking you to be aware of the patterns. This is number 12, which is about shifting perspectives. And so when you think about it, if you think back to the time when you became immobilized by this fear, this pain, this discomfort, you're going to recognize that something was going on there in your life, and you started thinking in a certain way, and you got stuck in it. That's all that happened. Something happened to you. You started thinking in a certain way as a result of it, and then you got stuck. And it's because your thoughts were fixed. I remember it all too well. So go back and remember what it was. You have the power and potential to make the money, to create the life you want. You're not lost. You're only lost if you're trying to find a way out. You know, if you're not looking for the way out, then you're not lost, you're settling. You know, it doesn't make sense, does it? You can't say you're lost while simultaneously sitting down all day making no effort to get to where you need to be. That's not someone that's lost. That's someone that's decided not to go home. Again, you've got to stop kidding yourself. You've got to pay attention to the thoughts that aren't true. You have to learn to discern between what's real and what isn't. Now let's read this card. This is also a number 34. So 3 and 4 is divine feminine and masculine energy. And we're going to go straight to the book, just because this really is such a beautiful book. I love Alana Fairchild so much. Okay. Whew. Just as a musical instrument can play notes at higher or lower vibrations, your own vibration is being refined as you are growing spiritually. And this is wonderful. Be brave as you trust that you are allowed. Indeed, you are spiritually encouraged to allow your vibration to rise, even though that sometimes means leaving people, places, situations and things behind. I told you, it's always so spot on to what we've read already. Some people and situations will grow with you at an equal pace. Others will meet you in the next upward spiral of your unfolding consciousness and life path. And still others will weigh you down, and you will need to let them go so that they may live their own destiny according to their own choices and timing. The more you allow yourself to raise your vibration, to shine victorious in your journey from fear to peace, the more you will be able to benefit from the quick unfoldment of your higher destiny in your life. The amaryllis lute calls you upwards into your own soul vibration. This healing instrument of the Divine Mother Goddess Kuan Yin sounds within your cells, helping you continue to raise your vibrations into peace. You will feel the effect of the amaryllis lute when you feel that you want to be more discerning about what you consume and how it might affect you positively or negatively. This might be food, it might be relationships, energies, visual or reading material and music, environments and emotional tendencies in certain friendships or work environments. This doesn't require stringent or fanatical approaches, but the lute opens you up to greater awareness of how you'll best work to raise your own vibration. You don't have to make dramatic changes to have dramatic effects. Even a small change in not gossiping or choosing not to engage in non-constructive arguments can make a world of difference. Choosing to smile more, to be gentler and kinder to yourself and others, to not be a doormat and to be firm and loving about meeting your own needs. These are all ways to raise your own vibration too. Chanting, meditation and dance can help. Let the amaryllis lute sound and guide you to the most beautiful and enjoyable ways for your vibration to rise. Remember that what works for another may not work for you. So it is an experiment and a fun one at that. If you've pulled this card, there is a special note that you are at an advanced stage in your spiritual process, and the passing through that portal of initiation is very close, if not almost completed. Stay true to your spiritual principles, beloved, for your spiritual victory will be great indeed. And that's what came through about this closing cycles. A slight shift in perspective, and you are going to be moving so swiftly in a new direction, Par 1. You really have got this. Now, we're going to go over to, I forgot what I was going to say then, the extended reading. Of course, if you would like to join me there, the link for that is down below. But otherwise, thank you for joining me here. I appreciate it so much. In the extended, we're going to go deeper. We're going to look at what needs to be stripped away. We're going to look at what are the thoughts that are keeping you stuck and how can you override them and how can you start taking those steps and what's still blocking you. So if you join me there, thank you so much. But otherwise, I will see you here next time. Don't forget to check out my website at happysouls1111.com. You can find the link down below. Thank you for hitting the like button and for your beautiful comments. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for being here. And we've got the 8/8 portal coming up, Lionsgate. You can sign up for that for free or by donation on the website. And I've also got some wonderful classes coming up. So hopefully I will see you there. But if not, I will see you next time. Lots of love. Take care. Bye. Hello, Part 2. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Tiger, the Snowflake Obsidian and the Lux X Umbra Tarot. We're going to be using the Oracle cards today in the charm bowl, and we are asking for all the signs. This is the perfect reading if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling confused, if you're at a crossroads or have a tough decision to make. Maybe you just feel restless and like you need a change, but you're not sure why or what for. This is the reading in which you're going to get all the answers that you need the most. And the universe is always communicating with you. It's always trying to send you signs. You know, you co-create your reality. So when you ask for a sign, it will manifest everywhere. And so this is a really beautiful way to draw down all of that wisdom from the quantum field, from your spirit guides, from your own higher awareness to help you move forward for your highest good. So let's do this. We're going to move the Tiger over there. We'll read them in a minute. The Lux X Umbra Tarot. We're going to draw some of these. And whilst I'm shuffling, this is a really good opportunity for you to just take a moment to take a nice, long, deep breath. These cards are quite big, hard to get hold of in my hands. Just take a nice, long, deep breath. Exhale all the tension from your body. And just set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. Say to yourself in your mind, I'm grounded, I'm protected, and I'm receptive to the highest energies and frequencies of light available to me. Just ask the universe now for a sign. It can be anything at all. It could be an object or something from nature. It could be a series of numbers or a name or a place or a song. Whatever pops into your head first, there's no right or wrong. So we've got 9 of Cups in reverse, 2 of Pentacles in reverse. Pay special attention when your sign shows up. Oh, just realised that's off camera. Let's bring them in. 6 of Pentacles. That's the Death card, number 13. I'm going to get one more for the top row and then we'll clarify these. And I'm just wanting to know first what your present current energies are looking like. 2 of Wands in reverse. What is it that Spirit wants to highlight or address for you to help you move forward, feeling good, feeling inspired? That's 3 of Wands in reverse, clarifying 9 of Cups in reverse. Ace of Wands in reverse, clarifying 2 of Pentacles in reverse. 2 of Swords, clarifying the 6 of Pentacles. The Emperor in reverse, clarifying death. And 2 of Wands in reverse, clarified by the Knight of Wands. Okay, let's get some oracle cards as well. I'm going to start with these. This is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, one of my favourites. We've got Spider. And Snake with a Cosmic Egg. And this deck, I've been dying to use this one. This is so cool. Britney Spears. I found it tucked away in a random bookshop. Never seen it before. Okay. We've got the Flight Attendant. Perhaps indicates travel of some kind. The Movie Star. And from, let's go with this one. The Universe Has Your Back. My capacity to tune into the energy of love gives me the words I need when I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I am lost. So this is a really good foundation for the energies that we're bringing forward. My fearless freedom lights up the world. Love it. Okay, let's do this. We'll draw more as we go. These are really heavy and very sad energies for you, pile 2. I wish I could give you a big, big, warm soul hug. When we start with the 9 of Cups in reverse, this is the energy of feeling really emotionally dysregulated, very volatile, and you may feel that you're just kind of imploding in every sense of the word. It's clarified by the 3 of Wands, which means your fulfillment has been snatched away from you. So something pretty harsh has been going on in your world. Perhaps a relationship has ended, or you've had to leave your home. You know, there's been an intense loss, and whether that's a person, that change, that transformation, it really hurts your heart. And we can see from the Spider energy here that you do feel very alone. And in some respects, you're very good at being on your own. You have a very powerfully independent streak, but there's like a big gap there now. And it just feels like you're not really coping very well at this moment in time. And yet you march forward. I feel like you get up and you go to work and you put on a happy face and you do your job. There's an astral leadership energy here, and there's something really sparkly and bubbly about your general disposition. You are such a tough cookie. But in your private moments, there's this palpable energy of loneliness and grief as well, because it feels like everything you wanted, as I said, it was taken from you, it was snatched. There's a real sense of injustice about it all, and the imbalance that it's created, and the lack of drive that it's created. You know, when Ace of Wands is in reverse, it feels like having no oomph, no inspiration, not knowing what to do next. Like there's just not enough light in your life, and you're really struggling to remain your composure and find a way to move forward that feels good. I do feel like with the 6 of Pentacles up front and center, that there's like a barrier and you're on the edge of it, like you're on the fence. There's different lifestyle opportunities and different transformations and changes that you could create for yourself. But I feel like you're kind of sat in the middle, just observing them and not necessarily choosing anything. The Six of Pentacles is often about reciprocity as well. And so it seems to me that you are perceiving your next step from very practical perspectives, when in reality what you need is that dose of fire. And we can see all the fire cards, the wands, are in reverse, which indicates that lack of drive, that lack of inspiration. And so in the absence of that light and that spark of creativity, you're just being very practical. You're looking at the mundane. Well, could I find a job here? How will I settle? Does it tick all the boxes or meet all my needs? And you're crunching the numbers. And this is why we have this indecision front and center. The Two of Swords is such a confused energy, but the reason it's confused is because it's disconnected from its intuitive emotional power. And because you are so emotionally dysregulated, you have this tendency towards shutting down and trying to be very pragmatic. You don't create space or room in which your emotions can exist. And so following this loss, in a desperate bid to kind of hold yourself together and get through this and heal from it, you're just shutting down. Quite often you're shutting that emotional body down. And I feel like you've been stuck in this rut for some time, and it's kind of this fear of, I don't know, like this impending sense of doom, this anxiety, this pervasive fear that everything's just going to be awful, keeps haunting you. And it seems the more time goes forward and the more time you don't actually take action or make decisions or take the steps you think you need to take, the more anxious you become. You've probably withdrawn from your social life. I definitely feel like you're in a position whereby, you know, you're trying your best to maintain any external interactions, but really you just want to be alone. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because you feel so alone, but it does feel like you're genuinely looking out into your network, into your family group and friendship group, and not finding the kind of support or, I guess, the kind of care and active listening that you would need to allow yourself to be truly vulnerable. It may feel like everyone's rushing around, you know, living their own lives, not noticing how uncomfortable you actually are. And it feels like this is such a deep experience for you anyway, that you perhaps don't even feel like you could express it or articulate it. And so you can see why all these energies are blocked. And, you know, there's this heavy energy of tension and my whole body feeling tight, but at the same time an extreme tiredness and sadness. And I'm so sorry that, you know, right now is so hard for you, because I genuinely feel it in my body for you. And I think, you know, where the Death card is concerned and the Cosmic Egg, you're being reminded that you are going through an immense transformation. And when we go through a really big change, that's when we're always going to be the most uncomfortable, because we're pushing out of our comfort zone. We're pushing against the boundaries of what was and trying to break through into the unknown, into something different, but something we can't see yet. And that requires faith. And a lot of your focus hasn't even been on what's next, because what's next maybe has felt scary after spending a lifetime imagining life being a certain way. Everything's changed and you now have to kind of redesign it. So you've been focusing on healing. You've been focusing on the growth that's been occurring during that phase. And, you know, a really good sign that you are evolving is you're beginning to notice your own dysfunction. You know, you've always been very good at seeing it in other people, but it feels to me like you're beginning to notice your own. And you're also learning that you don't have to fix everybody else's problems and issues and dysfunction. You don't even have to be part of it. You just need to focus on your own growth. But I'm hearing that you don't bear your trauma easily. It's really hard for you. And there's like an energy of guilt. And again, you know, this Nine of Cups in reverse, like all the emotion is pouring out of you and you just have to feel it and receive it. But the guilt and shame you feel when it comes up is really tough for you. And I just feel that in many ways you feel guilty for thinking of yourself as traumatized, because you love your parents and, you know, I think, you know, they did their best and that they were loving in all the ways they knew how, and you do forgive them, but you're being reminded that it's okay to be heartbroken, the things that they couldn't give you and the ways that they couldn't care for you. You know, you hurting doesn't have to mean that they have to be judged or punished. You can let go of that guilt and that shame, and just allow yourself to feel how you feel. You've got to remember that emotional energy just wants to move. It's just meant to flow to wherever it's meant to flow. And I think that you have probably encountered some resistance to that. When the Emperor is in reverse, it shows us that part of this transformation is releasing very controlling energies in your life. So this might be people that are manipulative or narcissistic or even abusive, but it definitely feels like there's people that have had too much power and influence over you and have perhaps caused you to, you know, betray your own boundaries, and you're having to learn to walk away. And, you know, unlike in the past where you may have kind of slammed a door and had a rant, this time round you're not walking away to spite anyone or to teach them a harsh lesson. You're walking away because that's what you're learning. You know, you now know that you have to create healthy boundaries for yourself with people that hurt you, even if they're not doing it on purpose. And you understand now that if you keep allowing yourself to be mistreated, it's going to wreck your energy. And I feel that you're so hypersensitive at the moment anyway, that it's just become intolerable for you and moved to a point where you have to kind of regroup and set those boundaries. But that resistance you're receiving is hard because you do have a guilt wound. You know, for you, that tendency towards people pleasing and making everyone comfortable is quite intense. We've got 3 2s, and 2s are always about intuition and emotion. You can see that the 2 of Pentacles and the 2 of Wands are in reverse, whereas the 2 of Swords is upright, and Swords represents the mind. So it's the inspiration and the material world balance that's keeping you stuck, or rather the lack of inspiration and this extreme focus on the logical, rational, practical aspects of the whole process. And so in the absence of that fire and that spark, you know, not only are you depleted from having to deal with this, you know, this uprising of trauma, the challenges that it's creating in your relationships, you know, but it's also creating this, what the hell do I do? How do I get out of this situation? I think you are learning to accept that, you know, all the people that know you gets a different version of you. And that's because not everyone can receive you in your whole authentic truth. And I think you're starting to notice how oppressive that feels. You know, some people you have to walk on eggshells or tiptoe around them. Some people dominate the relationship or the conversation, or they don't reciprocate in the same way. Some people just make you downright anxious or uncomfortable, or you feel that they judge you or don't, you know, enjoy or acknowledge or accept your interests or your ways of being. And that's where this loneliness comes from. It's from not having someone close to you that just gets you and just sees you and just accepts you as you are. And even though, you know, you've probably never felt lonelier, the universe really needs you to understand that this is such a powerfully transformative and beautiful stage in your life. And if you just let go of the guilt and what everyone else thinks of you, and, you know, let go of this responsibility for taking care of them and their comfort and their feelings, which, sure, I feel like you've done that. I feel like it's just that you've let it go, but there's just that residue of guilt that still eats at you sometimes. But you're moving towards happiness, and, you know, happiness isn't always about the delivery, about getting what you want, about the fulfillment. It's about the discovery. And you are growing at such a beautiful pace right now. You know, you have such beautiful energy. And in reality, if you don't know what to do next, that's okay. You just need to keep focusing on you. You're already doing what you were supposed to be doing. And that's why it felt like the only thing you could do, that you couldn't envisage the future because you're very focused on who you are and how you're feeling in the here and now. And all of your power right now and forever will remain in the present because that's where it's meant to be. So I feel like you weren't recognizing the totality of your power in this moment. You're feeling flat and this absence of spark, but in reality, this transformation, this metamorphosis that you are undergoing that kind of forces you, to withdraw, to be in, well, if you think about the butterfly or the moth before it transforms, it just becomes goo, right? It just goes into a cocoon and becomes goo. And you've got the tiger here as well. This reminds me of Ma Durga, but 333. Look at all the threes on here. I don't know what this means, I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, I can't even say it. Maybe someone in the comments can share. But all these threes is Empress energy. It's divine feminine energy. It's creativity. It's abundance. This is one of the most creative cycles you've actually moved through. You're just not feeling it because you're so in your head and disconnected from your emotions, ignoring your intuition, not leaning in to that truth and that authenticity within you. You feel like you need someone to bounce that truth off. And it's almost like, that idea that if you're not there when the tree falls, does the sound of the tree falling even exist? Do you know what I mean? Does the sound have to be heard to exist? Is it us hearing it that actually creates the sound? Is there a sound if you're not there to witness it? And it feels like this, with you, all of this stuff is happening for you, but your lack of awareness of it, you not being tuned into it, it's not vibrating within you, you're not seeing it, but the energy is all there. The Knight of Wands is actually very determined and very driven. And so despite feeling all of that lack, it's more the case that you're not harnessing the available power and potential. The Spider is very industrious. As we said earlier, it's very independent. It knows exactly what to do to create stability and security for itself, to protect and provide for itself. It's a very feminine energy because where spiders are concerned, the feminine spider is the powerhouse. And actually, after she's mated with her counterpart, she eats him. Pretty rough, pretty brutal stuff. So, this feminine energy is tough. It's really tough, just like Ma Durga, who rides her tiger, and the cosmic egg, again, this symbol of divine feminine creation with that snake, symbolic of ascension and transformation. All of this is happening for you, and you're being asked to trust it. The flight attendant, I think, it's not just about travel. It's about taking flight. It's about recognizing that you've been spending a lot of time focused on you, and that's where it needs to be. Focusing on becoming the person that you've always dreamed of being, healthy and glowing and happy. And you can have that, but you need to allow yourself to actually use those wings that you've established to start, increasing your vibration. You've been doing a lot of studying, you've been doing a lot of research, but not as much application of that learning. The movie star is about really expressing that greatness in you. And I felt it was such a nice energy. I felt this whole wave of tension release from my body when I said that absolute star that's in you. And my eye is drawn to my altar where there's a giant pine cone. And this card is purple, which is, the pineal gland, activating the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, connecting to that intuition, becoming cosmic. Remember what this said. My capacity to tune in to the energy of love gives me words I need when I'm ready to speak up, the compassion I need when it's time to forgive, and the power I need when I am lost. Everything you need is already in you, Pile 2. And I say that confidently. I really do feel like you have been working very hard to learn so much stuff, and now when you turn towards actually doing it, you're going to find it really natural and easy. You've got to create some order around that routine and allow it enough space to become a habit before judging whether or not it's working in your life. But for sure, you know, I really feel very powerfully that this fulfillment, it's not completely been stripped away. Actually, it's still on the table. It's just blocked. And when we turn all of these cards upright, wow, we have such a different story. A really beautiful, beautiful story. You know, in the upright position, it changes everything. We have all of that order and control. We have decisiveness and balancing and emotional stability. We have fulfillment and power and this divine drive to rush forward. So all of the energies you need are available to you. You just need to shift your perspective and let go of fear. My fearless freedom lights up the world. You are free. And you know, this painful situation has ended and you may not feel free. You may feel trapped by so many random things that actually, you know, you're telling yourself stories about being trapped. I don't believe that you're trapped. You're making the choice to stay where you are. And I appreciate that making the choice to leave or to move on is really, really hard, but it is a choice. And sometimes we have to do difficult things to get where we actually need to go. So let's get some more cards for you. What else does the universe want to share? Okay, we've got the 5 of Cups in reverse, the 8 of Swords, the 10 of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, it's Taurus energy, the 8 of Wands in reverse. This is fighter energy, by the way. I've just noticed that's Mars. You know, that's about charging into conflict and coming out victorious. That's about you advocating for and defending and protecting yourself. 5 of Cups in reverse is the Page of Cups. And the 8 of Swords is clarified by the 4 of Swords in reverse. The 10 of Wands is clarified by the 7 of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles in reverse is clarified by the 5 of Swords in reverse, the 2 5s in reverse, 2 8s. And the 4 of Wands in reverse. So you've got 2 4s, 2 8s, 2 5s. Front and center, we've got a 10 and 7. 17 is about manifesting by dreaming a new world into being. It's star energy, it's wishful thinking, creative thinking. The 10 of Wands is traditionally associated with the energy of burden, but what we see here is like this beautiful explosion of light that is so balanced, so symmetrical, so glowing and perfect. And it's clarified by the 7 of Pentacles, which is patience, and is illustrated here as this beautiful, divine and perfect flow. So again, I know this is hard. As I said, 10 of Wands isn't an easy energy. It's the energy of completion, of having arrived where you want to be, but it's hard earned. Traditionally, it's illustrated as a man with this stack of sticks on his back. So when it shows up with a 7, it's bringing with it, well, yes, you know, what you want is available to you, but there is this kind of big push that's needed to move it forward. And these are the things that are standing in your way in the past. You've got the 5 of Cups in reverse with the Page of Cups in reverse. Again, we touched upon this earlier. This is that grieving inner child. Now, the flight attendant, maybe your parents traveled a lot. Maybe you were separate from them, or it felt that there was literally time and space between you. Whatever that wound is, you need to create space now to work through it, because it is holding you back. And we talked earlier about not being able to see all the energies available to you, and this story that you tell yourself that you're trapped, that you can't move, you can't leave, you can't change. The change is happening for you anyway, but the 8 of Swords really evidences that it's you keeping you trapped. You can remove the blindfold, remove the cage at any time, and your reluctance towards, I think, healing the mind is necessary with you as well. You know, I feel like you've been working on emotions, and that's a really good place to start. But you've got to remember that thoughts are causative. What you think becomes an emotion. And so perhaps having done all of that heavy emotional work, what you've actually been left with is an expansion of pain and trauma, which your mind is untrained to work with. So I would encourage you to start, Google mind training exercises. And it's really about learning where to focus your thoughts. And when you can focus your thoughts and observe them rather than be in them, you can then, as your higher self, your higher awareness, start observing your feelings from a comfortable place so that it's easier to work with them and transmute them. And I really feel like, you've already got a fairly evolved, and in fact, I'd say highly evolved perception of feelings, but you're not necessarily sure what to do with them, how to transmute them, how to move them on. And this is what's creating this instability. And that's why it feels like your future, because of the instability you're feeling now, you're perpetuating more of that energy. You're not mothering yourself. You're not taking care of yourself. And we've got that inner conflict. And so again, in your desperation to be so forgiving of your mum, to not hold her accountable for the things she's done or hasn't done, you're also taking that same approach to your own inner divine mother, because your inner divine mother, who you are responsible for, it's that part of you that takes care of you, actually behaves a lot like your actual mum. And it's funny, isn't it? Everybody is a mirror. And so you're being asked to recognize that you inherited that, and it's not your fault that you are that way, but it is your responsibility to heal that part of yourself, to capture those energies that are incoming, because fulfillment is promised, it's just blocked. You've got the Four of Wands here as well. And again, the Four of Wands is an energy of celebration, of coming together, of stability, of harmony, of everything being, contained in this world of perfect rhythm for you. And it feels like that's what you're longing for, but you're not giving yourself permission to step outside enough of your comfort zone to actually take those steps. Let's get some more cards. I'm going to use these cards, the animal spirit ones. We've got lamb and we've got elephant. And from this deck, this is the Goddess Power deck. Oh, okay, they turned over. Nyx, that's funny. I was reading about her today. She's a Greek goddess, I believe. So Nyx, secrets. We've got Scold, the future, and Gula, healing. Beautiful energy. Numbers there are 48, 47, and 19. And from the Kuan Yin deck, I'm going to read this card straight from the book for you. This is the Kuan Yin Oracle. It's by Lorna Fairchild. All of her writing is quite beautiful. Maiden Magoo. Do you know what? I have a hunch that came up for part 1. Sisters of the Sun Rising. Beautiful energy. Okay, and from the universe has your back deck. Then we'll get some more charms. Thank you, universe, for helping me see beyond the limits of fear. Thank you for expanding my perceptions so that I can see what is of the highest good. Get your notebook out and write these down so that you can use them as affirmations. Energy flows where my intention goes. Yes, it does. Okay, let's get the charm bowl. So I'm going to turn it over and then grab a few. See what we've got here. Well, there's one on the table there that's fallen out. Let's put that one back. Right. Oh, we have the bicycle. We have neuro spicy. We have 555. We have the diamond. This one comes up a lot lately. I think we're all in that mood. Here lie all the F's that I give. The gravestone. Another ticket. So there's another indicator towards flying there. love, and the spider web. Do you know, I've got a really bizarre feeling that almost this exact lineup of charms came up in another reading. It's actually giving me the creeps. That's so weird. There must be 200 charms in there. I don't know what the chances are of getting all the same ones. Okay. Secrets. Secrets. Number 48. Sorry, that's number 40. 40. So these are secrets from your past as well. And I really feel strongly that this is associated with the family. It's associated when you were a child, maybe an adolescent child, and you haven't forgotten. And I think something happened in your family that was like never spoken about again. It was kind of brushed under the carpet like a dirty little secret. And I think the resentment from that festers as well in you, pile 2. Like, it eats away at you, and I don't think you've even consciously thought about it for a long time, but it's kind of there. Do you know what I mean? Like, slowly degrading your patience, and it's just changing your energy, and you've got to resolve that. You can't allow it to change your energy. I would encourage you to seek out maybe past life regression therapy, quantum healing, hypnosis for this kind of issue, because it feels to me that this one is actually beneath your layer of awareness. You probably have an inkling of what I'm talking about, but because you don't think about it often, I don't think you realize how deep the wound connected to that memory is. So it's not the case that you don't remember it happening. It's just that you might not remember how you feel about it because you've disassociated from it perhaps, or just buried it so very deeply. And we can see that it is affecting the future, you know, that healing is required here. And it's definitely connected to the father wound because we've got 2 4s. And again, 19 is also childlike energy and freedom. So is the lamb. It's the energy of vulnerability and innocence that has really come through there. 555, of course, is about transformation. These are the numbers of higher learning, of being at that midway point before you switch over to the other side and start embodying the transformative energy that you've created. So for now, it feels like you're still moving through that process, and you need to allow yourself to, and to recognize that as you start to see beyond the fear that keeps you clawing at the past, you're just going to get lighter and lighter, and you're going to be able to use those wings to just take off. Right, I want to come to these cards. We're going to read Maiden Magoo first, number 16. Okay. Maiden Magoo is an immortal expression of the Divine Mother of the East. She now brings you a special message from Kuan Yin. She guides you to trust that if you enter into the darkness of the unknown parts of yourself, you will emerge into the light, reassembled and reborn once more. If you are going through chaos in your life because you are allowing yourself to grow, Maiden Magoo also reassures you that the order and light will emerge out of the chaos in due course. Have faith and keep growing. In order to grow spiritually, there are times when we simply must delve within and find our shadow. It's easier to perceive the effect of the shadow than the shadow itself. The effect of the shadow is judgment, positive or negative, or another that we do not think is related to us personally. We may mightily admire or despise characteristics or traits in another, and yet when such judgments arise, it is a part of us that is seeking to be integrated and expressed, trying to get our attention through judgment. Noticing our judgments of others is the quickest way to get in touch with the shadow self. Trying to grow and heal into our conscious awareness so that we can become more whole, more empowered, and divinely delicious as we were always meant to be. This is especially so if you have pulled the Veil of Shadows cards as well as Maiden Magoo. Your judgment might be a strong reaction to a person who seems to be self-centered and self-obsessed, but the shadow in the self is trying to communicate with you through this judgment, and it might be a part of your own consciousness that wishes to be more supportive of the self. It will no longer allow you to put yourself behind others, but instead encourage you to express yourself and take up your space with presence. Admiring a great talent in another with a strong reaction or judgment, positive or negative, might be a part of your own psyche wishing to grow and express itself with similar confidence and freedom too. it can be extremely surprising exactly how many wonders are hiding in the parts of us that we are yet to know consciously. Sometimes there is anger, fear, jealousy, or shame wrapped up around those hidden parts of self. If we can be kind, allow the feelings to come up and to pass without fearing them, then eventually the beauty underneath will reveal itself too. And that really resonates so much. And I love that we have Sisters of the Sun rising here, because that just feels like the new dawn. You know, it feels like you rising up to claim what was always rightfully yours. And I do think you have enormous presence. You know, as I said at the beginning, you have this powerful energy of leadership here. Neurospicy is really interesting. Now, you may not be ADHD or on the spectrum or diagnosed with anything, but at the end of the day, the way you operate and function might be slightly different to those around you. You're really unique in that respect. And I think you've always felt a bit different. And it's just that you haven't found your soul tribe yet. You know, the people around you don't understand you. It's like we touched upon earlier. They know a version of you that they can see through the lens of their ignorance, their small-mindedness. And you feel stuck and very oppressed by, you know, no one really recognizing that authentic version of you, which, as we discussed earlier, gives rise to that loneliness. But again, you have everything you need in your heart. You know, you are an absolute diamond and your tribe is coming to you. You've just got to enjoy the journey. Remember, it's not about the delivery. It's about the discovery. You've also got a spider web here. Remember, we had spider energy. It's about weaving your own web anyway, being responsible for what brings joy into your life and choosing it every single time. Again, 2 suggestions of flying here. So maybe travel is on the cards for you, and this is something that you really need to think about to give yourself space to get realigned again and really integrate all of these changes so that you can start to look forward with more confidence, you know, whilst acknowledging that truth in your heart. Oh, I really hope that was helpful, part 2. I'm sending you such a big hug, and I just want to remind you it's okay to be broken for a while. You know, again, you are strong. You are such a soldier and warrior, and you're going to get through this really tricky stage in your life, and you're already in the process of rebirth. You're already in that process of finding your way towards what's meant for you, and everything else had to go. It had to go so you could start again and have this change. Again, I'm sending you so much love. If you'd like to join me in the extended, we are going to go deeper with this. I want to know more about what this loss and change is. I want to know more about the aspirations that you had that you think you can't have now, and what the universe needs you to know about all of that. And of course, more of that beautiful and very practical guidance that's going to help you move forward. So if you would like to join me there, the link down below for the extended takes you to my website where you can purchase it. But otherwise, thank you for joining me here. I appreciate you guys so much. I just am so honoured to come back and receive so much support. It's such a privilege to read for you, and I appreciate you so much. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your beautiful, beautiful comments, for hitting that like button, and special thanks to those generous souls that watch the commercials during my readings. It really helps my channel to grow, and thank you so much for hitting the subscribe button. That's like the super prize. It means we're friends, and I love that so much. So thank you for being my friend, for being a happy soul and part of this beautiful community. I will see you next time. Don't forget to check out my website at happysouls1111.com, where you can book private readings, classes, and all kinds of cool stuff with me. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Hello, Path 3. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Wolf and the Mysterious Tarot, whose name we don't know. It's a beautiful deck though. I'm glad you chose it. We're going to put the Wolf over here, and today we're asking for the signs that you really need. These are the signs you're looking for. And, you know, how you interpret a sign will very much depend on your circumstances and your needs right now. But the universe is always communicating with us and using signs as a means to point us in the right direction. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling confused, if you're in a situation you don't know how to get out of, or maybe you're just restless and you know you need to transform, you need to shift, this is the reading that's going to help you notice the signs, notice the messages that are pointing you in the right direction. Now, I'll preface this by saying no one knows what's right for you more than you. And so the challenge is that we become disassociated from our inner compass. We become stuck and we start looking to others for answers. And that makes us really vulnerable because, like I said, no one else can really know. So my goal isn't to tell you what to do. My goal is to bring forward the messages and the signs that trigger your own truth, your own awareness, and allow you to realign, reconnect with your own inner compass that's going to guide you. So whilst I'm shuffling, just take a nice long deep breath. Exhale all of the tension from your body. And just set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages you need the most. You are ready and willing to allow your own inner compass to be inspired. And ask the universe for a sign now. Trust whatever pops into your head. It could be anything at all. It could be an animal, an object, something from nature, a series of numbers, a song, a place. There's no right or wrong. Just trust whatever pops into your mind. And pay special attention to the messages that show up with your sign. Now, we'll be using the Oracle cards today as well as the Tarot. We'll be using the Charm Bowl. There will be an extended reading if this one resonates for you. You can always follow me over there. Intense energies for you, Pile 3. I'm feeling an experience of awakening occurring to you. I've not even drawn cards yet, but there's a lot of confusion surrounding this. And I will say as well, thank you so much to those generous souls that watch my commercials and adverts. It really does help my channel to grow. It's such a perfect energy exchange as well. It costs you nothing except a few seconds of your time, and I appreciate it so much. Okay, let's do this. I'm drawing cards first to help me understand the context of the situation or energy that Spirit wants to address with you. And the first card is the 10 of Pentacles. The High Priestess. The Ace of Wands. The Emperor. The King of Wands in reverse. And we're going to clarify these. So clarifying the 10 of Pentacles, we've got the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. Clarifying the High Priestess, we have the 3 of Cups. Clarifying the Ace of Wands, we have the 5 of Wands. Clarifying the Emperor, we have the 7 of Cups in reverse. Clarifying the King of Wands in reverse, we have the Page of Swords. Now we're going to get some Oracle cards as well. I'm going to start with these. This is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. We've got Otter. And we've got Deer. Okay, and let's do the Britney Spears Oracle. I'm loving this one. It's so cheesy. Love me the cheese. Okay. We've got Dump Him, the Graphic Tee. Remember not to take this literally. We'll talk about that card in a minute. And the Fitness Fan. So you've maybe met someone at the gym, or maybe the person that you're struggling with is the one that goes to the gym. Right, this is the Universe Has Your Back Oracle. Just going to take one of these for now. When I accept the love of the universe as my primary teacher, I will always be guided back to the light. Beautiful. Okay, let's begin. This is undoubtedly to do with what is an existing relationship. So a family unit, you may be a parent as well. You may be married or committed to somebody. And there's a great deal of imbalance there. Perhaps this partner is someone you perceive as karmic. The relationship has been challenging. It hasn't been as fulfilling as you had hoped and idealized that it would be. And there's been this awakening energy with the High Priestess. And given that this High Priestess shows up in this manner as a mirror image of itself, I feel that you probably believe you have met your twin flame. We can see with the Three of Cups that you've met this person socially and that it's created this love triangle. And the Ace of Wands is also that inspired drive to take action and rush towards it. But we see the conflict here with the Five of Wands. We see the resistance, the barriers, the challenges to you actually setting off on that path that you feel your heart desires right now. And we also have a divine masculine energy here that isn't a visionary, isn't feeling all of this energy. They may perceive it and they may know it in different ways to that which you do. But when the King of Wands is in reverse, clarified by the Page of Swords, this is someone who has a rudimentary understanding of their own emotions and certainly their own spirituality. So we have very confused energies here, and I feel really guided to remind you that twin flame is not a romantic ideal. I know it feels that way, but it's not a romantic ideal. That isn't the purpose of a twin flame connection. A twin flame connection is about you. It's about your relationship with yourself as a spirit, and they are merely a mirror image of that, a reflection of what is also in your soul. And we meet our twin flames when we're ready to ascend, when we're ready to return ourselves to our own hearts, into the totality of love and, you know, that relationship with creator energy, with our soul. And I feel like you are very much idealizing it, and, you know, you're looking at your existing relationship, which I do think in many respects is very stable. It's very grounded. It allows you to live a comfortable lifestyle. It provides for you in many, many ways. But we can see that there is that lack of fulfillment. Something is out of balance there. And, you know, I think if you do believe that you're a twin, and I can't tell you in a card reading, you know, whether you are or not. So you have to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But if you believe this other person is some kind of soulmate and that your current partner is not, that would also be misguided. You know, when you enter into a soul contract, or even a marriage contract with someone else, when you start a relationship, start a home, start a family with them, you have a contract with them too. And karmic as it may be, it's still a contract that needs to be fulfilled. And karma is very important. It's for your growth, it's for your learning, it's for your own ascension, and it cannot be avoided. I want you to think of it in terms of, well, if you want to be a doctor, you have to do the medical degree. You can kick and scream all you want about the several years it's going to take you to get through those textbooks and do those exams, but unless you go through that course and you graduate from it having learned what you needed to learn, you will not be the doctor that you desire to become. So karmic relationships are like lessons. They are the energy through which we refine ourselves, through which we see our shadow aspects and hone them and polish them into something more divine. And so this relationship you're having is very significant and it's very important, and you mustn't labor under this illusion that, well, they're not my twin flame or they're not my soulmate, and so this relationship doesn't matter as much. It's not divine. It very much is. And, you know, not all twin flames will rush into relationships with one another. In fact, that's very, very rare. Like I said, you must stop idealizing it. You must stop perceiving it from the perspective of, what's the word? Of they can give you a bigger love, a greater love, a more fulfilling relationship. What twin flame teaches us is that no one can do that for us. That's an inside job. And so if you are focused on this idea that someone else is going to fulfill you more than your current partner, you are avoiding and ignoring the truth of the fact that you are meant to fulfill you. And when you fulfill yourself, you will perceive all of the relationships around you very differently. And if this is a very triggering idea for you, then that reveals the truth of your ego's desires. If you're triggered by this idea that you're supposed to love yourself and you reject that and you think, well, surely the love I give myself cannot be as fulfilling or rewarding as the love from another, then that is evidential. You know, That demonstrates that you are focused on the ego's desire for love rather than the soul's power to cultivate it for self. And when we cultivate it for self, that's when we have the truest and most loving relationships. Because a relationship that is transactional, I need you to love me, and if you love me, I will love you back, that is not real love. That is two people that cannot love themselves, hoping to God that they can love each other enough to survive. And those relationships invariably become very messy, because two people who can't cultivate love for themselves cannot consistently maintain love for another. And so at some point they're going to drop the ball. They're going to be like, I can't love you today. And maybe that I can't love you today will become days or weeks or months. And when that happens, the relationship starts to break down. You're not loving me. You're not meeting my needs. And now I feel heartbroken, lost, lonely, starving, hungry for the love, which is a vital sustenance. This is what we're seeing in this relationship. That you don't know how to love each other. You meet one another's practical needs, but because you each don't have enough love in you, you cannot possibly continue. And I'm hearing for some of you, this problem became exacerbated when you had children, because children also take from you. They also need love. They give you love back, but they also need love. And so your focus of where that loving flow is going has to change. And when you have two parents that cannot love themselves, well, that's when it begins to break down, because the love is diverted to the children. There's not enough left in the bucket that isn't self-fulfilling to provide for the spouse or the partner as well. And then the resentment starts to settle in. You're not giving me what I need. You're not giving me the love. Healthy people that have full loving hearts that provide love for themselves spot those kind of energy vampires a mile off. They recognize you don't create love for yourself. They recognize that you are desperate and needy for love. They recognize that you need to be made to feel worthy, good enough, secure, because you cannot provide those things for yourself. Healthy people don't choose relationships with codependent people. Codependent people find each other and they try their hardest to nourish each other despite that deficit of self-love. And that is always going to be challenging. And that's karmic love. It's not real love. But you cannot yet have that relationship with this other person, with this divine counterpart, because they haven't learned to love themselves. You haven't learned to love yourself. So I promise you, if you flip from this relationship to another, you will continue to experience the same karmic dramas and theatrics that you are experiencing now, except it will be more intense and more challenging. Twin flames inspire us for self-love. That's why all the aces represent the power of self, where all the power is. One in the tarot is the magician. And the magician has all the tools he needs to create everything he needs for himself. The Ace of Wands is self-empowerment. The Ace of Cups is self-love. The Ace of Swords is self-knowledge, self-wisdom. And the Ace of Pentacles is that self-fulfilling energy of material provision for self. I can wash my own body. I can feed myself. I can provide and protect myself. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't enjoy relationships with others and all that they can bring to the table. You know, healthy relationships are what allowed humans to evolve in the way that we did. Community is a natural human need. But healthy interdependence is what we're looking for. That's the love that we cultivate as a group. I've got enough love and you've got enough love. And when we share all of that love, we can experience even more of it and be happy and comfortable. But it also keeps us safe as individuals, because you've got enough love in your tank. That means it's safe for me to take space for myself when I need it. If my tank starts running dry, I don't need to fear that you're going to starve without my love. In fact, because your tank is running fully, you can supplement me whilst I'm struggling until I get back on my feet. So, you know, in the natural order, we will all struggle with self-love sometimes. We will go through things in life that drain us and make it harder for us to give ourselves that nourishment. That's where community comes in. You know, in every community, people are still self-sufficient. The difference is, wow, your crops have failed. Here, please have some of mine. We can help see you through this season so you don't starve. But if that person never makes an effort to raise their own crop again, well, that other person's going to become resentful. They're going to say, my friend, I'm working very hard to provide for my family, my loved ones, the community. What are you contributing? Where are your potatoes? Why haven't you planted your seeds? Why haven't you tended your fields? It's not right for you to rely on the whole community to provide for you when you are very capable of providing for yourself. That's codependent love. It's not healthy interdependence. And so, you know, you're being asked to reflect on love. You've awoken to this awareness, this spiritual experience. You've begun to recognize yourself in the eyes of God as a spiritual being, as a soul having a human experience. But you're also resistant to and fighting it. You want twin flame to be this beautiful love story, this romance. And where that resistance is encountered is where you will get stuck. Because it's not going to be that. In fact, twin flame is one of the greatest paradoxes, because, you know, the journey is pretty much in the line of when you learn to love yourself, you will receive all the love from outside of you. And yet you feel empty of love now. You just want the universe to give you this love. And you're attached to this ideal of this knight in shining armor, or this beautiful fallen angel coming and giving you all the love you need, of rescuing you from this plight. You know, and this victim mentality does not serve you. Your person, and when I say your person, I mean your counterpart, this person outside of your current relationship that you have met, you have idealized them as well. They have power, and you see that light in them. You see all of that beauty in them because you recognize in them the light that is also in you. But you're not recognizing that they are not evolved. Page of Swords energy is someone who is still working through an evolutionary process, particularly where communication, expression, and truth is concerned, that is way behind the curve compared to you. So they cannot rise up to meet you on that bridge anyway. They are not yet equipped with the skills and the balance of energies that would be required to sustain a healthy relationship. Neither of you are. And that's why you get this butting heads and it won't quite meet. In fact, if you're ever in doubt of how the twin flame connection works, let me get my magnets. Where are they? There they are. Now these ones are actually broke. And so I'm going to show you this broken one. Now, if we look at them independently, we can see where they should fit together, right? You know, because this is just broken in half. But watch what happens. They don't fit together where they're meant to. One piece is bigger than the other, which creates an imbalance. Now, if I try and push them together to meet in the middle where they used to be connected, look, it just keeps pushing past each other. Now, and if I try and force it, I mean, I'm holding it now with quite a lot of pressure. There it is. That's where it's meant to connect. That's how it's meant to be. And I'm having to push it and push it and push it. So imagine this as spirit that wants you to reunite. But what happens when I let go? Now, it will connect in some way, but it connects in a distorted way. And so when I push together, let's try and, you know, meet them in the middle so that they are equal. What happens? It distorts itself. The magnets cannot hold themselves together as they were meant to be. They hold themselves together rather than, and this whole, they will keep resisting one another because one side is different. They're not on the same evolutionary frequency. And so, you know, that end, now if I turn that round and I try and push that end, this end, you know, will find a part of it can connect to that matches, but you feel the force of that resistance as well when you try and push those ends together. If you play around with a magnet, you will understand what I mean. And this is what twin flames are. It is just the same as magnets. If you try and force the opposite polarities together, you meet that resistance. And the two parts keep pushing past each other, no matter how much desire for connection there is. This is what we witness and observe in a twin flame connection. And it will continue to happen until one or the other balances those energies. So for example, I'm going to show you again. So that's the magnetic side, but that's where the resistance is. You know, when I push them together, I can feel that force of resistance. And so you only have to turn one piece of magnet away from that point of resistance, turn it in the right direction, and it comes together. It's still not balanced, but it comes together. So when one counterpart switches their energy, you start to move into what is known as a union transit. And we are not seeing a union transit here. What we are seeing is you still karmically trying to resolve the energy that your soul is in, the course that you are currently learning. Otter and deer are, you know, they are prey. Both of them are prey. They are not predators. The otter is a very gentle animal. It's associated with the water. And the deer, of course, is also a very gentle creature. Both of these are associated with receptive energy, the energy of divine femininity, but they are vulnerable. And this is representative of your current state. You are emotionally volatile. You are emotionally vulnerable. I'm thinking of that deer caught in headlights. And so there's this idea of, you know, that because you've met your twin, you have to dump this person and seek that real power, that real security, your real counterpart. But that's not how this works. When I accept the love of the universe as my primary teacher, I will always be guided back to the light. And the universe is trying to heal you. It's trying to love you. It's trying to show you that that love is within you. And loving yourself is like getting fit. You know, if you show up at the gym every day and you train every day and you maintain that discipline of physical self-care, you will begin to see your body transform. It gets strong. It becomes more powerful. It has more stamina. And you start to feel that invincibility of human physical fitness. If you stop going to the gym, that state of being begins to regress. You're no longer as flexible. You can no longer run as far. You don't have the same stamina. Your strength isn't the same. Healing the soul, healing your heart, developing self-love is the same. It's a consistent practice. When you show up at the spiritual gym and you start giving yourself all the love you need and you keep training yourself, you continue to grow and evolve. You get stronger and more powerful. You have more stamina. You create more love, more force. When you don't show up, nothing happens and you remain stuck. And so, you know, this is a sign for you that you have to do the work. And just as a personal trainer cannot put on the shoes and pick up the dumbbells for you, no one can love you better either. You have to do that. And you have to put on the running shoes and you have to pick up the dumbbells and you have to show up for yourself every day. This is a message for you to step into divine feminine energy. Beta or spirit wolf, you know, the wolf is also its own leader. Yes, they exist in packs, but they are self-sufficient. And it's only in old age that wolves are allowed to become more codependent, more dependent on the pack. Until then, they have to contribute equally as part of that community. They're expected to maintain a degree of self-care and interdependence, unless they are very young or they are very old. And, you know, this is the journey that you are currently experiencing. And so the universe is asking you to lean into your spiritual self, and you are resisting that. And you are wrestling against that as though it's a prison around you, just desperately annoyed, complaining in your ego about why you can't have the love you want, not realizing that the key to it always was and always will be within you. Whew, this reading has gone really differently to what I expected, part 3. And I just want to point out some of the signs that have come through for you here. You've got the bee and the bear here. There's tattoos here as well. I felt guided to point them out. There's pine cones down here. There is a fox here with the King of Wands. We've also got eagle, we've got snake, we've got stag, dragonfly, daisy, pentagram, otter, deer, and of course the wolf. So lots of signs coming up for you. You know, and I do feel like you're going to find the peace you need in your divine feminine community. You know, that's where you need to plant yourself with other people that have gone through this process of spiritual ascension and evolution, and that understand how you feel, and that can help keep realigning your focus where it's meant to be. It's normal to find it hard. You know, this isn't about beating you up and reprimanding your ego. Believe me when I tell you, we all have ego, and we all at times wrestle with it and struggle with it. But what you need is people around you that are going to support you in that growth, that aren't going to punish and judge with you when they hear your ego, but instead gently guide you back to your spiritual power, to your intuition, which is glowing right now for you. You know, this is a really beautiful time for you to develop a meditative practice, to start focusing on a discipline of daily self-care and self-love. And self-care isn't just brushing your teeth and, you know, combing your hair and putting some makeup on and treating yourself to nice clothes. That's just one aspect. That's the material aspect of self-care. Self-care is also about nourishing your mind, because our thoughts are causative, our thoughts create our feelings. And so when our mind is in chaos and it's unfocused and untrained, we have anxious thoughts, fear-based thoughts, wrecking thoughts that cause us so much pain. And when we don't learn to soothe our own emotions, we experience emotional dysregulation, which not only is uncomfortable and painful for us, but also impacts our relationship with other people. So, you know, self-care is total. It's mind, body, soul, and heart. And the soul is within you. And unless you take time to be still, to go into a meditative state, you're not connecting with your soul at all. It will continue to try and communicate with you through messages, through your dreams, through those brief moments of stillness where it can finally reach through and, you know, connect. But if you're not making the time to sit with it, you're never going to get the complete picture or the full degree of nourishment that is actually available to you. And you are such a powerful person, pile 3. You've always loved so very deeply, and you know how to love very deeply, but no one taught you how to love yourself. And because you understood what the absence of being loved felt like, you overcompensated by trying to become the most loving person to everyone around you. But you're discovering how lonely that is, because you're giving all of that love, desperately hoping that someone will give you enough back. And because you're not finding that in your outer world, you're becoming drained, you're becoming resentful, you're becoming bitter, you're perceiving all of the people that have taken from you and benefited from your love and not reciprocated in equal measure. It builds resentment. And we talked about this earlier with that metaphor, the analogy of, you know, the community providing for you when your crops had failed. You know, you are that guy that's like, hold on there, bitch. I've been giving you potatoes for 3 years on the trot. Where are my potatoes? Why are you not contributing? I can't keep feeding everyone. It starts to generate discord and resentment. And so you are in that energy, but you're running out of potatoes. You never learned how to grow your own crops. And so whilst you're trying to feed other people with love, you are starving. And you are in pain, and you are experiencing this famine of love, and you're blaming all of these people for not growing it themselves and giving it back to you, not understanding that you can cultivate it for yourself. As I say this, there is a caterpillar just on the other side of the window on the wall in front of me, and it's crawling along. Caterpillars are symbolic of transformation, but they are the stage before it, the stage before it gets its wings. And when a caterpillar begins to weave its cocoon, it's preparing itself for a total transformation. Once it's in that little cocoon, it becomes goo. It collapses into nothingness before it becomes something. So do not fear that change. You know, when you feel like I'm not where I need to be, and look, this is so crazy, but a berry has just fallen off the blackberry bush right in front of the caterpillar, and now it's like crawling all over it. So I just feel like that is such a beautiful sign that the universe will provide that nourishment for you so that you can move to that next phase. Literally, as we were talking about, I've just seen this happen in front of me. That is so beautiful and peculiar and magical. I love it. So this berry has just fallen down, and this caterpillar's like, you know, I'm on this barren wall with no nourishment in sight, and here comes that berry, and now it's crawling all over it. And so, you know, in order to move on to the next phase, in order to approach that much needed metamorphosis, we have to get nourishment from somewhere. And the universe is saying to you, I will provide you with that nourishment, but you have to turn and face me. You have to recognize that the universe is there for you, that your soul, your higher self is there for you, that all the love you need is there for you, and you've got to stop chasing it in your person. That's not where you're going to find it. The love they have in them is in you too. And so often when we meet our twin flames, it feels like they put this love in us that's so big and so amazing, and it feels so magical, and then they run away with it. It's like they take it away from us. But that's not what happened at all. That's just perception. What really happened was they pushed a button in you. They showed you, they ignited the spark of love, the spark of divinity that exists in you. And you just need to learn how to push that button yourself, how to ignite that spark. They're not doing it for themselves either, so they're certainly not going to be able to do it for you. They can be like a charge, but you're the one that's got to keep that inner flame burning. And so, you know, you're never going to be able to rely on them for that. If anything, you will end up with the same situation you have here, where you're loving more than them, and it builds resentment, it builds bitterness, and you'll come back to square one. A lot of people believe that twin flames don't share karma. I don't believe that's true. I think if we come to a relationship with karma, that karma will play out and we will share it. Like I said, you can't get where you need to go without learning those lessons, and you cannot avoid them. You can't skip chapters. You don't show up for your end of year exams and say, sorry boss, I didn't do chapter 3, 4 and 5 because I didn't want to. I just want my graduation now, please. I just want my degree. I want to be a doctor. And they'll say, but Charlotte, you've missed out this vital learning. How could you possibly be a doctor? It's not about the title. It's not about the degree. It's about the information you need to be what you're meant to be. You know, the learning matters, and you need to recognize that that's where you are. You're learning. Okay, let's get some more cards. I'm going to get some more oracle cards. I'm going to get some of these. This is the Goddess Power Oracle. These are beautiful. Okay, we've got Sarasvati, Mastery. We've got Demeter, the Nurturer. And we've got Hestia, Home. And let's get some more of these. The universe has your back. I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. And I'm unapologetic about what I desire and trust that what I focus on will grow. And we're going to get some more Brittany cards. The Schoolgirl and the Perfume Queen. And we're going to get one of these Kuan Yin Oracle cards. I'm going to read this one straight from the book because it's an Alana Fairchild deck, and her writing is just beautiful. Sacred River Yangtze. And let's get some more animal cards as well. And then we'll get some charms. Whale. Beautiful. Whale energy is my fave. Oh, and the horse, my second fave. Both of these creatures have very big, very powerful hearts. In fact, the whale has the biggest heart of all the mammals. Right, this is a big bowl. I'm going to turn them over and then I'm going to dig in and choose some. Oops, sorry about the wobble there. Okay, let's dig into the middle. I'm just going to grab a handful of the bowl. Again, sorry about the wobble. Right. Hello, I'm yours. 444. I love this one. This is Jesus, and he says, I saw that. And we also have, keep talking. I'm diagnosing you. We've got the bumblebee ring. This was a gift to me from ASO Tarot, the lovely Madison. And we've got the gramophone. And we've got curious. Okay, so let's start with Sarasvati, mastery. It's number 45, which is both the Emperor and the Hierophant. And this is about learning learning with your mind to create order. 5 is high learning. It's about respecting your higher self as the overall authority. And so we were talking earlier about not being in touch with your inner truth, with your inner compass. 4 is creating order within the mind so that you can be. You cannot learn about the qualities and nature and wisdom of spirit unless you are leaning into it. And to lean into it, you have to create enough order in the mind to be able to hear it and feel it. And this is why meditative practice is so important. And if you're thinking about meditation as just stilling the mind and thinking of nothing at all, that isn't correct. In fact, that is a huge challenge that only a very, very well practiced and versed meditator will be able to achieve. It's actually being able to focus on what you choose, using the mind deliberately in the manner which you choose. So for example, often our minds will drive us crazy because we get intrusive thoughts. We're trying to focus on our work, let's say, and the mind's going, you're going to fail at that, you're rubbish, you're not good enough. That is evidence of not having trained your mind, because the mind is working on its own autopilot program, and it's sabotaging you. It's sabotaging where you're trying to put your focus. So if you recognize this about yourself, meditation, the act of just putting your focus where you desire it to be and working towards maintaining that focus so that you can start to drown out any interference, that is what creates mastery of the mind. And this is how you are going to learn. I'm hearing that music helps you develop that state. And if you can play music, all the better. And if you don't believe yourself to be a musician, simply get a drum, a shamanic drum, where you just follow a really simple beat. Get a lyre, or, there's so many lovely spiritual tools now that make beautiful sounds, whatever notes you play, and that can focus your musical attention. Vibration that you create from instruments is also very beautiful and very healing, but you need to train the mind so that you can lean into that higher learning. Demeter is number 11, the number of awakening, and in Greek mythology she is the mother, and she's also the goddess of the harvest. So it's interesting that we use that analogy, right, about growing your own crops and again nurturing your own needs, providing your own harvest. This is what you are being awakened to do. Hestia is the goddess of the home, and she is also a Greek goddess, and actually in many villages in Greece, every single town and village had a fire that was constantly burning. And if they were going to start a new village, they would take hot coals from this fire dedicated to Hestia to start a new fire in the new village, and they would carry the coals hot and still in flame to the new place, so that each fire was imbued with her power, because she is the goddess of hearth and home and of the fire. So when you think of it in terms of tending to your fire, and the fire being your light, your soul, 2 being the high priestess, which came up for you, 2 being that emperor energy, the 4 of control and order over self, and this shows up for you here. 444, this is about creating balance, order and stability for yourself across the mind, the body, and the spirit. So you can see here what's being asked of you and where you need to apply yourself. The schoolgirl is about becoming the student again, about recognizing that you're moving into the next phase of your spiritual evolution journey, and that requires you to study, it requires you to learn, it requires you to apply what you have learned. And you can do this, pile 3. You are a deeply intuitive, powerful, heart-centered person. You just don't know how to hold that heart center. You don't know how to tap into that intuition at will. So you're already seeing how, when you're relaxed, when you're balanced, when you're calm, how much power, force, and magic is in you. Imagine what you'll be able to achieve both within and without when you can harness that power. You're definitely, the perfume queen is about scent or smell. So you are a master of your lower senses. You know, you have a very extreme sensitivity to touch, taste, smell. So I need you to think of your higher senses as simple extensions of that can receive more sensory information from a broader perspective, you know, rather than just what your eyes can see, what your nose can reach, what your fingers can touch. It's about recognizing there are deeper layers of awareness for you to access. And, you know, again, the whale, and straight away as soon as I said that, I'm hearing whale song. Remember, vibration, sound matters, but the whale has the biggest heart in that mammal kingdom. And I really feel that that's symbolic of your potential, of the capacity of your heart being big, and you needing to really lean into that and fulfill that. Horses are about freedom. They're about liberating ourselves from this perceived entrapment. You are not trapped. You are exactly where you chose to be. You're just now questioning if that was the right choice, but you were never wrong. You know, you have to give yourself permission to navigate challenge. You must resist the urge to think, well, just because it was hard, it wasn't right. No one lives a charmed life where everything just is easy and perfect. That's not real life. All of us will encounter challenge because it's through that energy of resistance and challenge that we grow. And so you're being reminded that you are free. You were never trapped, and that being trapped is just a perception. Keep talking, I'm diagnosing you. You need to become a more active listener, pile 3. You're very good at seeing the dysfunction in others, but you're being called to reflect on self. It's easy to see it in others because you're not emotionally attached. And so it's crystal clear. In those moments, you're tapping into your intuition, you're drawing from that deeper layer of wisdom, and you're able to recognize the truth. That's when your inner compass is working and effective, and you are a beautiful channel. You bring forward beautiful guidance. But you also need to learn to actively listen, and also to actively listen to yourself and your own shadow. It's not your job to fix anyone else. So you need to stop focusing on educating other people around their dysfunction and what they should and shouldn't be doing, and start being curious about your own, curious about nature as well. Again, we had that divine feminine grouping there with the 3 of Cups. The bee has shown up twice for you. The bee has hive mind. It's about the collective consciousness. Bees don't work for themselves, they work for the greater good of the group. And so they recognize their role within that great being. And it's about coming together to collaborate and cooperate, and you're really guided to find like-minded souls. This person recognizes you as a soulmate also, but they don't know how to be there in that capacity yet, and you need to give them an opportunity to grow into that. And we have again the gramophone, which is again about music, vibration, sound, and to remind you that your higher self, Christ, God, whatever your belief system is always there. It's always listening, it's always observing, and when you ask for guidance and you tune in long enough to listen to it, you will find it. Let go of the shadows of your past. You know, it's seeing someone for the first time through the eyes of love. And I think when you're looking at the relationship you're in currently, it may feel like there's so much water under the bridge that you can't resolve that. Be unapologetic about what you desire and trust that what you focus on will grow. If you are focused on bitterness, resentment, anger, frustration, that's what will be perpetuated in your life. You are an actual creator, and you need to start recognizing yourself as one. Right, this is number 25. Again, High Priestess and Hierophant. That's the energy of intuition and higher learning through that. Let's read this from the book. As I said, Alana Fairchild always hits it on the nose. It's quite beautiful. Okay. The sacred river Yangtze, in which beloved Kuan Yin delights, is always subtly changing course, flowing and growing. You, like the sacred river, are changing too, beloved. Your life direction is going through subtle realignments, or even in the midst of a far more obvious change. You are encouraged to trust in the natural unfoldment of this process and to allow it to work its way through you and your life. The sacred river Yangtze is an extension of the intelligent guidance of the Divine Mother, her hand reaching through your soul and guiding you towards your highest destiny. She helps the higher self release any impurities which it no longer needs to contain. In doing so, there can be a period of spiritual release and even physical detoxification. The detox may occur through emotions that surface, inexplicable pains or aches in the body, a feeling of tiredness for no particular reason, and a need to rest, the urge to meditate more, to do healing, to go for swims in the ocean or attend a yoga class, or even the way you are eating and sleeping needs to be changed. These are natural intuitive impulses that confirm your soul is going through a cleansing process as it brings more of its purity into expression on the physical plane. Kuan Yin speaks as the soul of the sacred river Yangtze now and guides you to be kind to yourself during these changes and to honor your inner guidance as your own inner light grows stronger. Now trust the flowing changes of the sacred river through your life. You may observe that people are even more attracted to your light during such a time, and in the period following this shift in your light quotient. You are holding more light in your being, and without the old veils covering your inner light, your soul is able to shine through matter stronger than ever before. Some people will be attracted to these changes in you and your relationships will grow and improve, but there might be some that are fearful of these changes. Keep firm boundaries that are loving and don't worry about any extra attention you will receive. Your light is not just growing brighter, it is growing stronger too, and you'll be ready to handle any situation that comes to you with joy, grace and effectiveness. Be kind and patient. Stay true to yourself and trust that spiritual growth serves all. It's absolutely stunning, and I think offers us such a beautiful representation of where you are at currently. I really want to know more about your counterpart. I want to know more about your current partner, and I want to know more about this resistance and how you can continue to break through it. So we're going to take that over to the extended reading. If this has helped and resonated with you, you can find the link for the extended down below. But thank you so much for joining me here. It is such a pleasure to read for you. I really hope it has helped. Thank you for being part of this journey. I promise you this wisdom that comes through is as much for me as it is for you, and I'm so grateful for it. So thank you for hitting the like button, and thank you for your beautiful comments. Thank you for subscribing. All of these things help my channel to grow, and as I said earlier, it's such a perfect energy exchange and I appreciate it so much. If you would like to book a private reading with me or check out my classes or other services, you can find my website at happysouls1111.com. We've got the portal meditation coming up for 8/8, so do check that out. That is free or by donation, and it really is so special to gather and meditate together. Hopefully I'll see you there. But if not, I will see you here next time. Lots of love, Pile 3. Bye. Hello, Pile 4. Welcome to your reading. You have chosen the Bear, the Hyperscene, and the Luminous Spirit Tarot. And today this is all about the signs that you've been looking for, the guidance you need to move forward for your highest good. Maybe you're stuck, maybe you're in a rut, maybe you're confused or indecisive about something. This reading is all about connecting into your own higher consciousness, tapping into your higher self, drawing down the awareness that exists for you there, that is always trying to guide you, to realign you with your inner compass. Now, oh, one just turned over there. We're going to shuffle the cards. I do this off screen, but I like to do it on screen as well for you. And whilst I am shuffling, just take a nice long deep breath for me. And I want you to exhale all the tension from your body. Just give yourself a moment of peace, a moment of stillness, and just drop down into your heart space. And set the intention that you are ready and willing to receive the messages that you need the most. And ask the universe for a sign. Trust whatever pops into your head as I say that. A sign can be anything at all. It could be an object, an animal, something from nature. There is no right or wrong. Just allow yourself to choose a sign and pay close attention to the messages that show up alongside your sign in the reading. Now, there will be an extended reading today. You can always find the link for that down below if this one resonates with you. We will be using the oracle cards and the charms as well. And thank you for those of you that take the time to watch my commercials and adverts. I appreciate it so much. It is the perfect energy exchange. A few seconds of your time in return for my reading. I love it. Thank you so, so much. It makes a world of difference to my channel. But let's draw some cards. I'm going to ask first for some cards that help me understand the context of what it is that we are tuning into today, the guidance you need, the signs that you need. There we go. First card out, 5 of Wands. The Devil. The 10 of Cups. The 7 of Wands. And the 5 of Swords in reverse. And I'm going to clarify these. Clarifying the 5 of Wands, we've got Justice. Clarifying the Devil, we've got the Queen of Swords. Oh, these are a bit slippy slidey. You know how I like to straighten them out. The 10 of Swords in reverse clarifies the 10 of Cups. Clarifying the 7 of Wands, we've got the 4 of Swords in reverse. And clarifying the 5 of Swords in reverse, we've got the King of Pentacles. Okay, let's draw some more cards for you. I'm going to start with these. This is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. We've got Shark. And we've got Crocodile. Let's just move these up so we've got room for them all. So even before I pull the rest of the cards, this is about parents, parenting even. If you are a parent, it's about your parenting. It may refer to your parents. What's next? Okay, Britney Spears Oracle. I know it's cheesy, but I love it. We've got the Seeker, the Space Princess, and from this deck, the Universe Has Your Back. Let's get one of these as well. We'll pull more cards as we go. Thank you, Universe, for helping me see beyond the limits of fear. Thank you for expanding my perceptions so that I can see what is of the highest good. I want to start by saying, Part 4, you need to forgive yourself. There is so much guilt, and you carry a heavy, heavy burden of guilt, and you really need to forgive yourself. There is so much shame and guilt tangled up in your energy right now. And you know, this card that you chose, the Spirit Bear, 396 hertz, which is referenced here, is actually the frequency of energy that reduces guilt in our consciousness. It heals us of shame. So you need this frequency in your life. Bear is also protective. And, you know, I mentioned parenting. Think about the mama bear, the protective mama bear. And your guilt arises from not having been the parent that you think you should have been. And if you're not the parent, then you need to think of this in terms of your own parents. But I think for most of you, this will be you as a parent. And the crocodile is also symbolic of maternal energy. Believe it or not, crocodiles are very good parents. They're very good mothers, so it's symbolic of that maternal relationship. But we see a high degree of conflict. We've got the shark there, which is symbolic of aggression. And even that mama bear, that in her attempt to protect and preserve can be aggressive. And I feel like for you, you were raised in a pretty hostile and aggressive environment. And before you were able to wake up and realize how destructive that was, you may have acted out those programs in the relationship you have with your own children, and you eat yourself alive every day. You know, there is no more all-consuming guilt than the guilt that parents hold. Well, parents that are able to see themselves, parents that are bold and brave enough and courageous enough to start that healing and that self-reflection. And so there's this ancestral pattern of really harsh parenting that when your children were younger, you know, you didn't understand how destructive that was. You didn't understand that you were acting out on autopilot this program of your own past, and you would have found yourself saying things and doing things that really don't align with the truth of who you are. And you were also very angry. And you may have found that as a parent, you just couldn't be as present as you would like to be. And you may be at a stage in your life where your children are growing up, or they have grown up, and you know, you're realizing now with that energy of regret, with that energy of guilt, what went wrong, what you could have done better, and you wish you had that time again. I want to remind you that you will. You know, life is cyclic. This isn't the end. It's just a new beginning. And when you all incarnate together again, you'll get a chance to hash it out all again from a higher vibration, because you are doing that healing and evolution now. It's that healing that is allowing you to have that reflection. It's allowing you to look back into the past and cringe at some of the things you said and some of the things you did. But you're being called to the now, because so much of that guilt and that shame and that animosity is not serving you. Now, we've got the Five of Wands over here, and we've got the Five of Swords over here. Fives are always about transition and change. So in this incarnation, you are the cycle breaker. And you may have come out of your relationship with your own parents thinking, you know, I may not know much about being a good mum or dad, but I know what not to do. And so there were so many things that your mum and dad did that you didn't do. You know, I hear in one, you didn't judge your children's bodies. You know, you never objectified them. You didn't make them feel not good enough in any direct way. A lot of it was that you couldn't be present with them. And so it was the indirect messages they received. You know, when we don't give our children enough attention, and it might be for no other reason that we're really busy, we're really struggling to you know, balance ourselves, we're really struggling with our own emotions. When we are in a state of flux of volatility ourselves, we can't necessarily be truly present with and therefore our own kids. And so they start creating a storyline that, well, my mum and dad don't care, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable. And so that hurt that was created was indirect. It wasn't you always lashing out and saying terrible things, because actually I feel that you were way more restrained with your words and way more careful and mindful of how you used words. Certainly you had your moments, because you came out of your own family situation with your own parents with a tremendous amount of anger, and I'm hearing that that anger consumed you for such a long time. And we see that devil energy here in the Queen of Swords. And look at this devil card. You know, it's literally got the hands on the head, and it's pulling people apart. It's driving that wedge between people. And your anger was often so explosive, you know, that it did create this energy of fear in your kids sometimes. And you can look back and recognize your harshness. The Queen of the Queen of Swords is a straight talker, but she is mostly fair. And so even though your rage and your anger often spilled out, you know, your words, whilst they were still cutting, you did at least mostly speak the truth. You didn't use that sword to deliberately hurt. you know. But this is all karma that you're working out. And those fives, which are about transitions, they're very unstable energies. One is that kind of playful battle, and the other is the intense conflict that causes, you know, real bad wounds. But both of these were in balance. You broke the cycle of deep, deep wounding, and you came at it, you know, this is a stick versus a sword, you know, and there's something playful about the Five of Wands. They're kind of having this playful fight with those sticks, almost like fencing, right? Fencing is still, they're having a fight, but they're fighting for the game. They're fighting in order that they can, I guess, work things out. And it's still competitive, but it's not violent. It's not intended to wound. And so you've brought in this much softer energy. Yes, there was conflict. Yes, you didn't have the tools to manage conflict, but you need to forgive yourself because you're developing those tools now. And your children aren't so old that they're not going to, you know, recognize these changes in you. Sometimes we can labor under this illusion that there is too much water under the bridge, but you are through the worst of it. You've got the 10 of Cups here, front and center. Your kids love you. You are loved, they are loved, and you love your parents. And, you know, if you're the viewer here that is looking at this reading from the perspective of what I'm saying being about your mum or your dad or your parents, you know, you've got to remember that everyone's doing their best. Love can exist and it can be ugly, it can be messy, it can be toxic, it can be angry. You know, it's not love or lack of love that creates those behaviors. It's the beast in us, the part of us that we're still trying to tame, the part of us that is angry, the part of us that is traumatized. We can see with the 10 of Swords in reverse that you are at the end of that pain cycle, that you have broken the back of that cycle, and that you are ready to grow. You're creating healthier boundaries to protect you and your children. But with the 4 of Swords in reverse, you haven't fully healed. There is still healing to be done. And we've got the King of Pentacles here. So, you know, a lot of the conflict and the anger that arose may have actually been with your partner, the mother or father of the children. And you may notice that now you have created distance between you in that situation, whether literal and physical or mental and emotional, that you are a lot more balanced. And so I do feel that in your case, a lot of your explosive rage was actually nothing to do with you, and also everything to do with the pressure that you were under. And there is such as a thing called reactive abuse, which is where someone pokes you and pokes you and pokes you and triggers you so intensely that you end up erupting. And I do believe you were a victim of that kind of treatment, that you are like an elastic band. You can stretch and you can stretch and you can stretch, but eventually you are going to snap. But you look back, you reflect on these times when you lost control, when you lost your temper, when you shouted at the kids or couldn't be there for the kids, and it eats you alive. And you're so fearful that they're not going to be able to love you or forgive you. But they can, and they will, and they already are doing. You are a good parent. You need to remember that parents come in all shapes and sizes, and we all just do our best. And you did do your best, and there was always love in your heart, and it is enough. You're being reminded as well that your children chose you to be their parent. Before we are born, we decide why we're coming back here to this dimension. We decide what family we're going to be born into and why, because that family can cater to the lessons that we need so that our soul can evolve. And you've been incarnating with this group of souls for millennia, and you've all played those different roles. Perhaps in the previous lifetime you were the dad or the mum or the child or the auntie or the cousin or the grandma. You've been in all the roles, and you know, each of you has to see all of those perspectives, and with each incarnation you resolve more and more of that ancestral trauma and that ancestral pain cycle. And you are a cycle breaker. You came in and you were probably a middle child, I'm hearing, which is a really difficult place within the family, because the eldest is always the golden child, and the youngest is always the vulnerable, sweet one, the baby of the family, and the middle one tends to get lost in the mix. But there is a reason that the majority of politicians and entrepreneurs are middle children. There is a reason for being in the middle that adds immense value. For one, as a middle child, you learn to be an excellent negotiator. You learn to be self-sufficient because all the attention was never on you. The eldest child had a period of being the only child, and the baby will always be the baby. But the middle child will usually always be the one that didn't get as much attention, was often overlooked, and is often the scapegoat in a narcissistic dynamic. And so in your case, you were able to become the peacekeeper, the negotiator. And in being left alone, that gave you more time to observe, more time to contemplate, more time to self-reflect. You actually developed more self-awareness than your siblings. You developed more understanding of the human condition, and you probably have noticed that in your career you are a natural leader, you are self-sufficient, you have initiative, you are a dynamic thinker, you're a good negotiator, and you're an excellent peacekeeper, and you are a straight talker. Yes, it's been harsh at times. You didn't always wield the sword with absolute care, because that anger that you inherited through generations was still with you when your children were born. But it's okay. It's always okay. Stop judging yourself, stop punishing yourself, and keep reminding yourself that everything happens for a reason. Come rain or shine, for love or money, you have created a family unit in which love exists. And it exists to a greater degree than it existed in the cycle before you. And when you reflect on the kind of parenting style that you received, you will be able to identify the huge disparity between what you were shown versus what you delivered. And you can see all of the things you healed. You get stuck because you didn't heal it all. You think to yourself, well, I know I did this better, but it's not good enough. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done this. I should have done more of that and less of that. And that's not okay. You have to trust that everything's worked out in the way it was meant to, and that your children had the upbringing that their souls needed to develop in the way that they need to develop and evolve, and that they will have children and they will continue to break that cycle. It was never your job to break the whole cycle. You can't do that in one lifetime. And it's a group effort, it's a team effort. You did your bit and you did it well, and your children are stronger for it. And, you know, they also have learned through the very difficult lesson granted, but they have learned that, you know, when someone mistreats us or unintentionally hurts us, it's not because they don't love us, it's because they're coming up against their own limitations. Your children know you love them. They know you love them. They may still be angry. Let them be angry, just like you were angry. We can't heal other people's anger. We can only hold space for it. And so, you know, I think you're arriving at a stage in your life where your children are growing. They may be starting to reflect on their own childhoods. This is when resentments can start to arise. Well, God, my mum and dad didn't do this, or they didn't do that, or I wish they'd done more of that, or I really need more of this. And, you know, they can start to throw that at you. And it can feel like a slinging match when the mud starts to fly. And this is where the guidance comes in for you. You cannot change the past, pile 4, and neither is it your job to. You did your best, and you did it well. You are a good parent. I know you don't think that, but you are a really good parent because you loved, and you did love with all you could muster at that stage in your life. There is more love in your heart now, but the pain of it and the sensitivity to it does make it defensive for you. And so you've got to remember that when your children come at you and say, well, mom or dad, I really found that part difficult, or I really wish that this bit could have been different. You don't need to explain. Understanding can be helpful, but wait for them to ask that. Wait for the why, because when we dive in with an apology and explanation to the person that's been hurt, even though all we're trying to do is to offer them understanding, to reassure them that, you know, it wasn't because of them, it was because of this, and it's a genuine intention, but what they're going to hear is excuses. So it's enough to say, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I can see now how that hurt you. And I could see now that there were better ways to have done that. How can I support you now in healing this? Keep the focus on them. Don't make it about you by offering lots of long explanations and crying and saying, oh, I'm so sorry, I feel so guilty. That's not the way to deal with this. And this is maybe why you're not getting the reactions from your kids that you want. This is why maybe they're still hostile, or they're still resentful, or they're saying, well, actually, Mum, because when you break down and you cry and you say, sorry, I was so bad, and you start making, trying to make them understand, you're moving the conversation away from their pain and you're putting it on yours. That's not your job. Your job is to cater to their pain. You can deal with yours. You're the parent. So when your children come to you with a grievance, and I want you to think about it, even prepare statements of how you're going to reply. It's really simple. A straightforward apology. I am so sorry. I understand how you feel. And now you've explained it to me, I understand how much I've hurt you. How can I support you in healing this? What can I do differently now? Now, they might want to understand why, but I would save the whys for the opportune moment. As I said, don't make it about you. Keep the focus on them, their healing, and what you can do now. How you respond to your children when they come at you with their grievances matters. And you will remember trying to tell your parents about how much they'd hurt you. And you may have heard things like, well, that didn't happen like that. That's not what I remember. Or I didn't say that. Or, well, you were this and you were that and that was going on. You remember how much resentment that inspired in you, that they had all these excuses, all these reasons, or denial. And it's really hard when your children do bring up an event or experience they had with you and you don't remember it. Resist the urge to tell them that you don't remember it, because this is how they remember it. And it doesn't matter if you think that experience was real or imagined. That is the belief that is hurting them and they have carried with them. And you may remember it wrong. Do you know what? The human memory is actually very volatile. It's very unpredictable and very, very unreliable. Google studies into human memory so you can understand how unreliable it is. And when there are gaps in our memory, our brain is very clever and will be creative in filling in the gaps. And it's true that children often have what we refer to as perceived trauma, which is where their brains have been so frightened in the moment that they have exacerbated the reality of what happened. And then later on, when they reflect on it, perhaps their mind has injected, something creative into the gaps that their minds didn't retain at the time. But that doesn't mean we should tell them that. When you say, I don't remember, when you say that didn't happen, or when you simply make excuses, what the child is still hearing, whether they're an adult or not, is your feelings still don't matter to me. And that's really tough. Google gentle parenting. Google how to respond to your children when they raise grievances. And you're also being asked to refine how you show up as a parent now. One thing I have to say to you, and this may be triggering, but I'm going to be blunt and direct with it because that's how I'm guided. It is not your children's responsibility to manage your feelings, even when they are adults. Your children shouldn't know the struggles you're facing. A lot of parents, they get to adult age and they think, great, we can be friends now, and I can offload all of my complaints and issues and challenges onto them too, and they can start holding space for me. No, that's not the natural order. They shouldn't ever be hearing about your relationship problems or your trauma or your grievances unless it arises in a natural conversation in which you're relating to something they're already sharing. And you'll have a different relationship with all your kids, but generally speaking, they should not be carrying our burdens or holding space for us or helping us heal and grow directly. That's not what they're there for. And so if you still have this expectation that your children should be reciprocating to meet your needs, this is also part of the problem of why they are frustrated with you. When you are with your children, you need to make it about them, even more so because you couldn't do that when they were younger. You couldn't manage your moods and your anger and your temper because you were too dysregulated. And so they had to be mindful of it. Your children would have learned, wow, mum's in a bad mood, let's give her a wide berth. Mum's in a bad mood, I better not tell her I had a bad day. I don't want to upset her anymore. It's called being parentified. When children start walking on eggshells to manage their parents' needs, that's a really unhealthy dynamic for your kids, and you don't want to perpetuate that now. So a big part of healing this family dynamic is to understand your role as a parent. And your role as a parent is to help your children learn to fly and to send them out into the world and to be there at the nest ready to receive them if they need your guidance or support. At no stage should you be sharing your pain and your trauma and your grievances and your issues. And you may think, well, my kids are fine, you know, they're really supportive when I talk to them about it. And it's not the natural order. It's not how it's meant to be. And if you have a child that is like that, it's because you have trained them to be. And you need to put the attention back on them. I'm here for you. How was your day? You know, when they come into your home, be interested in them. And if you don't understand what it is that they're doing or what they're involved in, ask them, tell me more about that. That's really interesting, but I don't know much about that. What does it mean? Explain it to me. Be inquisitive, ask more questions, resist the urge to offer your opinion. Instead, just offer reassurance. Well, that's so exciting. I love hearing about this. I'm so proud of you and that you're getting into this. Oh, that sounds so cool. How are you feeling about it? What are your goals? You know, you need to learn to keep the focus on them. The thing is, your parents didn't do this for you. And because you never got that attention and support you needed, you are still operating from that wounded inner child that needs that validation, attention, and support. You shouldn't be trying to get it from your children. And forgive yourself because you weren't trying to be, you know, an unsupportive parent. You were just trying to get your own needs met with the people around you that love you. It's a natural response. But you can take responsibility for it now. This is part of your healing. And I do feel like you have sought healing. You know, we've got the seeker here. We've got the space princess. You know, this is about you meditating and seeking truth, seeking healing, seeking solace and seeking peace. And you're doing an excellent job of it, part 4. But you have to redefine the boundaries in your relationship so that the real healing can begin. And that requires you to show up as a different kind of parent, a parent who doesn't burden their children with their own challenges, issues. You know, think of it in, you know, set yourself a pact, make a pact with yourself. I will never tell my children really how much I'm struggling because they have their own lives and their own concerns, and I don't want to add any more weight to their burden. I have friends to do that. I find a therapist to do that. My children are not my therapists. They are not my respite. They are not my catharsis. That is not what children are for. You need to develop a more selfless perspective when it comes to your kids. When they arrive at your home or you arrive at theirs, tell me everything. How was your week? What have you been doing? What can I do for you? I am here for you. Put your focus on them. Remove it from what it is that you need help with. You know, and you'll find that when you are fully supportive of your children, those offers will come. Well, you know, mom or dad, I notice you've not been out and mow your lawn. Let me come and do that for you. But when you're asking them, you're creating a sense of obligation or responsibility where they begin to feel that they have to do these things. And they will naturally start questioning, well, you know, my parent couldn't do those things for me. You really need to do some research around this. I really think it will help you to look at gentle parenting, to look at the role of a parent, to look at healthy boundaries within parent-adult-child relationships. And if your children are still children, if they're not yet teens or fully grown adults, you have even more opportunity to heal that ancestral pattern. You were neglected as a child. So forgive yourself for not understanding how to be the kind of parent that you really wanted to be. because you remember how it felt to be neglected, to be ignored, to not be supported, to be objectified, to be punished, to be judged, to not be accepted as who you are. You remember how painful that felt. And so you went out of your way to prove to your children how much you love them by using words. I love you so much. You're so beautiful. You're so good at that. Words of affirmation. But what children also need is a safe space. They need healthy boundaries. They need a parent who puts them first. They need a parent who listens and takes an active interest in who they are. Because when we don't show an interest in our children, they begin to think that they're just not interesting. That's kind of how it works. So think of it in terms of, let's say your child is a brilliant artist, but you're not really interested in art, or they're a brilliant scientist or a brilliant basketball player, and they come home and they're like, wow, Mum, you wouldn't believe the game of basketball I had today, and this happened and then that happened, and then Johnny came up behind me and this happened and that happened. And because you're not interested in basketball, you might zone out. And you'll be like, well, I'm just not interested in basketball. It's not personal. I'm just not interested in basketball. I'm not interested in art. I'm not interested in science. I'm not interested in, but part of being a parent is holding space for their interests, for being interested in them, not the topic, but how excited they are about the topic. And you can just listen. You don't even have to know anything about it. That's so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I love when you tell me about your triumphs and your victories and your interests and your excitements. It's about validating them, making it safe to be them, reminding them that you care about them in every sense of the word. And this was a skill that was missing when you were raised by your parents, and it's a skill that you missed, and it's not too late to develop. It's not about you where your children are concerned. It's all about them. And you may have taken this attitude, oh, they're so selfish, they never ask me how I am. And care is a reciprocal thing. When you offer care and you show someone that you have super interest and a super level of care and support in what they're doing, reciprocity will come as they grow. Younger children and younger adults, they are a bit self-absorbed, because they're still in that state of learning who they are, developing their own identity, and there's not enough room in that to start supporting other people. So don't take it personally. Your child's inability to think of your feelings all the time, or to ask how you are, or to consider your needs, is not an indication that they are selfish. It's an indication that they are still growing, and they are still maturing, and they're still so self-focused. And that is the natural order. So you need to question what needs it is that you have told yourself your children should be meeting. They shouldn't be meeting any of your needs. And there is never any obligation to that. It is a privilege if, when your children grow up, they still want to spend time with you, and as you age and you need more support, that they actually want to be there to support you. That is a privilege that is earned through action, through the long-term commitment of loving your children unconditionally and wholeheartedly. It's not something that should be expected as a given just because you were there and you put food on the table. And I promise you, when I say this very thing is the source of so much anguish in many, many families. Pile 4, you are a full-hearted person. You have so much love in you, but you have been so disrupted and distorted by your own trauma and experiences that you haven't necessarily translated fully into how that's affected you as a parent, and how it's affected your children, and consequently how it has affected that relationship. And it doesn't matter that you can't change the past, because you still have a future. The future is ahead of you. There's still so much living to do. There's still so much loving and parenting to be had. And there is still so many more happy family times to come. One day it will arise in conversation. There'll be a right moment for you to say, do you know, I have a lot of regrets about the kind of parent I was. And over the years, having listened to how much I hurt you or how much you struggled with certain things, I've really wanted to share with you the whys. But it never felt appropriate, because I wanted to hold space for you in those moments and not make it about me. But just so you know, just so you can be reassured and you can understand that my limitations were never a rejection of you. My inability to love you in the way you needed was nothing to do with how precious and beautiful you are or how much I loved you, and everything to do with my own insecurities, fears, and issues in the moment. That day will come, but the moment to bring it up is not when your child is grieving, not when your child is telling you what hurt them. In those moments, you just need to listen. And the signs are there. You're probably finding your children pushing back. They're pushing back and saying, Mum, I didn't like it when that happened. Or Dad, I wish you could have done that differently. How you react matters. How you respond determines whether this will heal or whether this cycle will be perpetuated. And you have an opportunity now to keep changing the record. And this is what Spirit is asking of you. Thank you, universe, for helping me see beyond the limits of fear. Thank you for expanding my perceptions so that I can see what is for the highest good. First of all, let go of the guilt. Remind yourself that this is a brand new opportunity for you to start over. Remind yourself that you are growing too, and forgive yourself for not having known better. You did the best with the knowledge that you had and the strength that you had. But this guilt that you're feeling, this shame that you dwell in, it's keeping you stuck now. It's keeping you stuck. And you may be arriving at a stage in your life where you feel lonely, or you feel like your children are growing up as teens and they've got less time and space for you, they don't want to know you. And, you know, this is where you can still make an impact. You can still change the record. So let's get some more cards. I'm going to use this deck. This is the Goddess Power deck. I'm sending you such warm hugs, powerful. And believe me, I know that parent guilt too. And, you know, a lot of people, they watch my channel, they think, oh God, Charlotte's so wise. You know, I wish Charlotte was my mum. She's always got the best advice. Let me tell you, I was a shocking parent. In many ways, I still am. I am not a perfect person. This wisdom comes through me, not from me. And believe me, this advice I'm giving you is for me too. Because, you know, especially in my formative years, I was not a good parent. I really wasn't. And that guilt eats me alive too. So I do understand, but we are growing and we are evolving all the time. And what matters is not what has happened, but how you're responding to your awareness of what happened now, how you're resolving and repairing that now. That's what matters. You know, you are not the same person you were 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. You are a new person today with new awareness, with new skills, with new wisdom, new understanding, and you are creating a new future. Right. We've got Sophia, Divine Wisdom. I love that. We've got Mart, Truth. So interesting that both of these are mother energies as well. And we've got Bridget, Creative Spark, another mother energy. One more of those because I'm loving this. Ceridwen, Potential. I'm not as familiar with her mythology, so that was very reassuring. Right, let's get some more animals. The camel and the fire ant. And let's get some charms. Oh, I'm going to get one of these Kuan Yin cards as well. I'm going to read this straight from the book because it's an Alana Fairchild deck and she is amazing. And the book, ooh, okay, that one came out on its own. What have we got there? Dynasty of the Divine Mother. You couldn't make this up, could you? That's beautiful, right. As I was saying, yeah, Alana Fairchild is just so beautiful. Right, I'm going to stir these up with my hands and then I'm going to reach in and grab some. Oh, put that one back in. Okay, dig in. Oh, we've got, oh, I'll take that one back because it fell out. We'll keep those. Okay, what have we got here? We've got the FBI badge. That's Fox Mulder's, one of the Simpsons. It's such a cool little charm, that one. We have got 444. I'm pretty sure this came out of the other pile. We've got Don't Be a Dick. We've got the tape measure. We have got I Love You But You're Terrible. We've got the swans. We've got, that's the King of Cups, but there's a line through it. I'm noticing there's two halves to that. And we've got the shell. Okay. So I want to share with you the story of Sophia. So in the book of John, which was part of the Nag Hammadi, the Bibles that weren't canonized, the Gospels that weren't included in the New Testament, but the Nag Hammadi in the book of John was actually discovered in the 40s. And in the book of John, they describe how Sophia, who was a personification of the energy of wisdom, hence it's called divine wisdom, created the demiurge, which was called Yaldabaoth, and which we today know as Satan or the devil, which, by the way, was a modern concept. You know, it was created in the Middle Ages. There was no such thing as Satan or the devil prior to that. So Yaldabaoth, Sophia created a being because she was inquisitive and she wanted to know what she could create. But because she created this being separate from God's divinity, she created the demiurge, and feeling afraid, she cast it out into its own realm. She rejected it. And that is such an interesting story when you think of it in relation to parenting. I've created this being, I've unwittingly distorted it through my ignorance and lack of forethought about how to create this child, this being, and now I'm casting it out. Now, if that story rings true to your situation, if you've rejected one of your children because of their behavior, because they're so bad, oh my God, they're so terrible, there is a powerful message for you here. I get it's hard when our children do things we struggle to be proud of, but that child is of your creation. It's of your doing, and we all make mistakes. And hurt people, and dysfunctional people do dysfunctional things. And you need to find forgiveness, and you need to bring that child back in. Look at where rejection has a role in your relationship with your kids. You know, in what circumstances have you said to them, well, I can't abide that. And, you know, we can't connect because of X, Y, Z. It's not your job to judge them. It really isn't. It's your job to love them anyway. It's your job to hold space for them when they are not being their best selves. And you're judging them because you were judged. And my cat Juno is looking at me now. She's staring at me through the window. She walks along the wall. Cats are intuitive, divine wisdom. 4 is about stability. 8 is about recurring cycles. Rejecting your children has a profound impact, and it probably happened to you. You need to think about how your parents expressed disappointment, how your parents expressed their dislike of things, or how they judged you or punished you for not living up to their ideals. You need to give your children permission to make mistakes, because that is how they learn and that is how they will grow. And the mistakes don't matter. What matters is how they respond to those mistakes. What matters is how they are prepared to make good on their mistakes. What matters is the lessons they are learning. Truth. You can tell the truth without being hurtful. And let me say that honesty is not always the best policy. I spoke to a lady recently who told me, oh, I'm estranged from my daughter. And I said, well, that's sad. Why are you estranged from your daughter? It was an adult daughter. And she said, because she can't handle the truth. And I said to her, well, what kind of truth might that have been? Well, she was messing up her relationship and she wasn't parenting her kids right. Let me tell you, unsolicited advice and opinions are not your right as a parent. They are not. And as that lady discovered, they create distance. They don't create intimacy. They don't create safety. They're not received as supportive or loving and caring. They create distance, they create disharmony, they create ill feeling, they build resentment. Your children will make mistakes. And it's not for you to point every single one out. It's not for you to tell them how it should be done, because they need to learn themselves of their own volition. That is life. Now, if they come to you and ask for advice, that's different. And it's really good to get into the habit of saying, well, honey, do you need me to listen? Or would you like some guidance? And sometimes they'll say, oh, Mum, it's just good that you're listening. Thank you. And you can say things to them. I trust you to work this out. I trust you to figure this out. Because when you're trying to tell them what you think they should do, what you're actually doing is disempowering them. What you're really communicating is, I don't trust you to do this, so I'm going to have to do it for you. I don't trust you to figure this out, so you need me to tell you. And that's about validating you and your role as a mum, rather than uplifting your children and putting their needs and feelings first. Truth is not something you are entitled to in the relationship with your children, and it should be used very cautiously. So if you're wondering why there's distance, maybe you need to learn how to bite your lip and keep your opinions to yourself. The creative spark and potential are lovely energies. I love that these are sequential with 8 and 9. Because you're really being reminded of all the power, passion, and potential that you have to make good this situation. The dynasty of the Divine Mother is a beautiful energy. You are here to restore balance to your family's lineage, and you need to investigate, leaving no stone unturned, how you can show up to be a better parent. This is part of your life's mission. It's part of your dharma and karma. It's what you're here to rebalance. Falls are about stability. They're about order. They're about protection and provision. And in order to create that, you need to bring emotional intelligence and emotional maturity to the equation. It's okay that you couldn't do that before. You didn't know how, but you can now. You are more measured now, and you need to take a more measured approach. Look at this. Don't be a dick. I love you, but you're terrible. And let me tell you, there is nothing more painful than loving a family member, wishing desperately for harmonious family interactions, but that other person not being able to meet you on that bridge. As a parent, be the bigger person. Bite your tongue, extend the olive branch, offer forgiveness. Just be the bigger person. When your children communicate their needs and their boundaries, respect them. You don't have to agree with them. You don't even have to like them, but you do have to accept and respect them if you expect to be an intimate part of your children's lives. This is their life, and they're going to do things you don't like. They're going to make decisions you don't agree with, and they're going to sometimes arrive at situations you think are downright stupid. And that's okay. It's their path, and their path may be different to yours, and you can't save them from everything. One of your children is really stuck. They haven't grown into themselves yet, and they're really struggling. Less truth and less judgment, more listening, more holding space. The camel is also about self-preservation. And so you need to be reminded that your feelings are your responsibility, especially when you are in a group of people. If you're at an event and you have a grievance with someone, the respectful thing to do is to park it until you can talk to them privately, not to cause a scene or start an argument or start bickering in the presence of a group, because then that makes that group event about you and your grievance. And that's not okay. You've learned to be more emotionally measured. Now you need to know how to use that emotional intelligence. And importantly, you need to recognize that family events aren't all about your feelings. You are not a child. You can regulate your emotions until such a time as you find a safe private outlet to express them. With this fire energy, I think there's often a very chaotic, conflict-oriented dynamic in your family. And, you know, it's not your job to put out all the fires, but you've got to stop starting them as well. You've got to realize your role in starting them sometimes. There is real love here. You know, you and your family, you are soulmates. You are all cut from the same cloth, and you are loved. And finding it difficult with one another is a natural part of our cycle of evolution. But you have this power of this Divine Mother to transform it. Let's read this card for you. So this is number 8. Where are we? Number 8. Gates of Heaven. Here we go. Dynasty of the Divine Mother. Sometimes we imagine enlightened beings to be another species to everyday humans. Yet there is an old Eastern saying that goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Enlightenment is made manifest through the small actions we take each day. Sometimes the smallest action can feel like an enormous leap, and yet when that action is taken, we realize that the journey into peace is something we can choose to take at any moment. The dynasty of the Divine Mother is her spiritual legacy. her endless compassion for human suffering, and her intent to lift humanity out of ignorance and into peace, which shines through the Oriental goddess like Kuan Yin, Green Tara, and Mazu. This oracle indicates that your spiritual legacy is important on this planet. You are a channel for the dynasty of the Divine Mother, for the enlightenment of all beings. We contribute to the Divine Mother's dynasty through our choices and creations, from the inner thoughts we hold to the projects in which we invest time, energy, and money. These become part of the spiritual legacy we pass on to generations to come. The Divine Mother now guides you to realize that your soul is moving closer to personal enlightenment. It's beginning to live from moment to moment, but you are being called to recognize your role in the chaos. The more you choose to notice and appreciate these moments, the more the good things will happen for you. It is the realization of your own process taking place. It is very exciting, and yet it will not take you away from the world or your loved ones as you might have feared. Beloved, it will simply make your light stronger. Bring blessings and peace through your being into the world and your relationships each day. Your personal enlightenment will help the planet in so many ways, and you'll become a stronger spiritual light to which others can look so that they can find their way more clearly. You are being asked to surrender to ideas about what enlightenment may look or feel like, and to realize where it is already emerging within you. You will also receive guidance about your spiritual practice on a daily basis, and you may be drawn to meditate in a different way, to work with sacred words, prayers, Tai Chi, Qigong, healing arts, or to get acupuncture, massage, or other modalities more regularly. Listen to your heart, but hold space for those of others. It knows unity and has the seed of enlightenment already within it. And follow your inner guidance. This is the luminous pathway to divine realization and living your everyday enlightenment. The Divine Mother has gratitude for you as part of her spiritual legacy, a member of the dynasty of the Divine Mother. And so I really feel with this one, you're being reminded as well that that's where you find the Divine Mothering you need. It's in spirit, not in your children. They are not there to mother you or to meet your needs. You are there to meet theirs, but you can find that divine care and healing that you need so much in your spiritual practice. Whew, powerful. I am sending you the biggest hugs. I know how tough this is, and I'm rooting for you, and I trust that you can make this work and that you can transform this situation from one of chaos into one of conscious, loving parenting. I am sending you so much love. I want to take this over to the extended now because we're going to go a bit deeper with those energies. I want to look more at your past and figure out more of what you need to focus on and face in your own healing practice to release the wounds that are still holding you back. If that resonates and you would like to join me there, you can find the link down below. But thank you so much for joining me here. I am sending you so much love and so much peace and all my brightest blessings and my bestest wishes that you find your way through the dark. Thank you for being here. And thank you for hitting the like button, for subscribing. Thank you for your wonderful comments. Remember to make a note in the comments of which pile you've watched so that when this YouTube video pops up again for you, you'll know which one you've seen already. And you can book a private reading with me or classes and other services via my website, which you can find at www.happysouls1111.com. The links are down below. I will see you next time. Lots of love. Bye.